time?
It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day.
We'll know in a very short period of time, but it looks like it could be something that will be not good. Believe me, not good.
I see issue with that. And again, hey.
You're not going to be able to insult your way to the presidency. That's not going to happen.
I don't know who created Pokemon Go, but I'm trying to figure out how we get them to have Pokemon go to the polls.
I'm Ted Cruz, and my pronoun is kiss my ass.
So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time in terms of what we need to do to lay these wires, what we need to do to create these jobs.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to put
Not good. Believe me, not good.
Hello, dissidents. Welcome, one and all, to a Tuesday matinee edition of the New Dissidents podcast. Keaton Weiss here with Russell Dobular, of course.
Hello.
How's everybody doing today? Appreciate you all being here. Thanks for tuning in. Great crowd here to start things off. 807 strong in the YouTube chat. 318 filing in over there on Rumble. Thank you all very, very much for being here. Good to see you all today. Good show today. Good show lined up.
Good show. Today's going to be the best show. We talked about it before the show. It's all downhill after today.
Yeah, thanks to Candace Owens for giving us some material, finally. Yeah. You know.
About time.
Finally making it worthwhile. Yeah, that was amazing last night. Can't wait to get into that. But we got some updates first on the flotilla. The flotilla is the big news of the week, I think. That and ice. It's Ice Week, so we do have more ice content coming your way. Yes. And, Vito, I gotta start off by shouting out Vito because, Vito is not here today. Vito says, I will not be here for the show today. All my love to my family of dissidents. I know it'll be a great show. Cancer sucks. You guys rock. You rock, Vito. And, it's unfortunate you can't be here today because look at what we did for you today.
I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse.
Yeah. We got your sound drop today. We got your sound drop, Vito.
And then you don't show up. So now we're taking it off the board.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
You had your chance.
Right. Every time we try to pull you in, you push us back out.
Yep.
Right. All righty. Well,
that was the original line, and then Pacino improvised.
Yeah, he improvised. I'm not saying it that way.
Coppola was like, "Oh my God, that's so much better."
That's so much better. That's right. Yeah, exactly. That's the other way. That's the Jewish mafia. Every time that you try to come in, they push you out.
Look, you don't have to join. You don't have to join. Leave. Don't worry.
Yeah.
We'll be fine.
Yeah.
We don't find. You don't have to pledge loyalty to us. Don't worry. It's okay. It's all right.
Yeah. No, exactly. All righty. Well, should we get on to the business of the flotilla?
We shall. So I've heard conflicting reports. It looks like all the flotilla members have been released. The Times of Israel earlier today reported that 7 were still being held, so that's possible. So this was the first wave of 171 that were sent to Slovenia and Greece. I believe most of them went to Greece.
6 days has, among other things, been torture, physical and mental abuse, but at the same time, all the things we could think of in our heads were the suffering of the Palestinian people, and what we suffered from was nothing in comparison to them. We do not want to focus on what we suffered, even though we have the negligence of our own governments not supporting us in any type of way, even though that we were kidnapped in international waters for bringing aid to a starving people.
Despite of our government defeat, and despite of what you have supported during more than 1 month, Gaza will come back again. This is the first page, and we'll write other page, inshallah.
Join the Palestinian movement.
This is the first biggest trip of the flotilla, but there will be more. We will not stop until Palestine is free.
They're complicit. Every single politician out there, every political leader is complicit in what's going on in Gaza. They sell arms, they let arms be transported through their countries, they buy in products, services from occupied Palestine. This has to cease. Every individual should put pressure on their own politicians, local, national, international, put pressure on them to cease the trade in anything from occupied Palestine.
See, and notice he doesn't say the West Bank. He doesn't say the occupied territories, occupied Palestine, which is all of Israel and every place under control of the Zionist government. Now, something you will notice, and you'll see this when we show the clip from Greta, every single activist, they mention the treatment that they were subjected to when asked, but they all redirect to, this is nothing compared to what the Palestinians have gone through. This is not about us. They hit that again and again and again, coming back to the theme, the message, hey, this is not about how they treated us. This is about how they treat the Palestinians year-round. But one person who did, before hitting that theme, talk about what they did to her was Rima Hassan, who's actually a French member of the European Parliament. And you just have to ask yourself, if they would do this to her, what will they do to Palestinians?
À dénoncer, j'aurais pas le temps de détailler ici le traitement qui nous a...
I gotta blow this up. A little too small for me to read. There are many things to denounce, and I won't have time to go into detail here about how we were treated by the Israeli regime. Some of us were beaten. I was beaten by 2 police officers as I was being put into the van. And this was also the case for others who will be able to testify later. Then we were placed in the Negev prison, which is a high security prison. There were sometimes 13 or 15 of us per cell, so we didn't even have beds, just mattresses on the floor. We lacked everything. There were elderly people with us. We all thought about the Palestinian political prisoners too. We saw messages from these prisoners covering the walls of the cells. They are suffering much worse than we are, and we must keep that in mind too. So you see, that was really the common refrain of all of these activists coming out. And that's something many of them have mentioned, how you have this disturbing writing from previous Palestinian prisoners. According to reports, some of that writing in blood. So this is from the Israeli Foreign Ministry here. 171 additional provocateurs from the Hamas Samud flotilla, including Greta Thunberg, were deported today from Israel to Greece and Slovakia. The deportees are citizens of Greece, Italy, France, Ireland, Sweden, Poland, Germany, Bulgaria, Lithuania, Austria, Luxembourg, Finland, Denmark, Slovakia, Switzerland, Norway, the UK, Serbia, and the United States. All the legal rights of the participants in this PR stunt were and will continue to be fully upheld. The lies they are spreading are part of their pre-planned fake news campaign. All right, so they coordinated ahead of time. Okay, so say they didn't give water. We had to drink the toilet water. You know what? Let's say that there's messages from the Palestinian prisoners. Okay, you got it? Repeat it back. Yeah, that's what happened. The only violent incident came from a Hamas Samud provocateur who bit a female medical staff member of Ketziot prison. Don't believe the fake news they are spreading. Attached are photos of Greta and other participants in this PR stunt at the airport before being deported. And this is one of the 2 pictures that they tweeted out. And Farhan Zulkifli makes this point. From the start, the IDF knew all Samud flotilla activists would eventually be released. It was just a matter of time. Even with that, IDF still tortured them, knowing these people could later tell the world what happened. Now imagine what they do to Palestinians who will never be released, who have no voice and no chance to tell their story. Exactly. They beat a French member of parliament. They held these people without food, without drinkable water, according to the reports we're getting. They would give them food with insects. I mean, this is, classic Nazi torture kind of stuff that they did to them, and they didn't give a shit. Well, we'll just deny it. That's all.
And then release a photo of them at the airport as if that's evidence of something. Why don't you take a picture of them in their cells to show us what the cells look like?
Exactly.
Show us a
Which
picture
you
of them
notice
eating
they
a meal
didn't do.
in
They
prison.
didn't send not one picture of them in the cells. You would think if you want to show this is all a lie, that's what you would show, right?
Yeah, and you wouldn't have Ben Gvir running around bragging about how they're getting the terrorist treatment. Yeah.
So here is Greta Thunberg, who, again, she was another one who did not want to dwell on how they treated her, keep the focus on the Palestinians that they were there for. She does glancingly touch on the matter. I'm sure she'll have more to say at some point.
Shamoud flotilla was the biggest ever attempt to break Israel's illegal and inhumane siege by sea. And it is a story of global international solidarity, of people stepping up when our governments failed to do so, of people saying that my leaders, so-called leaders who are supposed to represent me, who continue to fuel a genocide, death and destruction, they do not represent me. And this is a last resort, that this mission has to exist. It's a shame. It is a shame. And I could talk for a very, very long time about our mistreatment and abuses in our imprisonment, trust me, but that is not the story. What happened here was that Israel, while continuing to worsen and escalate their genocide and mass destruction with genocidal intent, attempting to erase an entire population, an entire nation in front of our very eyes, they once again violated international law by preventing humanitarian aid from getting into Gaza while people are being starved. This genocide and other genocides are being enabled and fueled by our own governments, our institutions, our media and companies. It is our responsibility to end that complicity. And I also... No, not heroes. No, we are doing the bare minimum. What we are doing is not in any way, no one has to come to the rescue of Palestinian people. What we are doing is hearing and acting upon their calls for people all over the world to take action and end our complicity, to use our privileges, our platforms to take a stance against this that is in every way unjustifiable.
And as we pointed out in our segment the other night, and many people have pointed out, where's Obama? He loved Greta. He loved Greta when they were lining her up to go, promote the neoliberal vision of public-private partnership with the WEF for energy projects that was pointed out somewhat imperfectly, but I think validly in the Michael Moore produced Planet of the Humans. A lot of these projects are just money-making schemes for the companies doing them that are not actually going to solve the problem. They were lining her up to help these people get rich off their virtue signaling, and where are they now? Where are all these people who couldn't wait to be photographed with Greta Thunberg? They've completely abandoned her. I saw somebody tweeted out, yes, look at how this person uses their privilege and their advantages to go out on a boat as a high-profile activist. And someone responded to it. This went viral. No, that's exactly how you should use your privilege.
That's what you're supposed to do.
That's exactly like what would be better if she were lined up with the Obama WEF coalition, and that's exactly what you were criticizing her for, wasn't it?
Right.
She's just spit in the face of those people, and you still don't respect her? Come on, man. Even if you don't agree with her, you have to admit she wasn't what a lot of people thought that she was.
Of course, right.
Now here's our illustrious leader here being asked about Thunberg's remarks.
A follow-up question on Israel. Israel government has been arresting and reporting activists that were traveling to Gaza. Today, Greta Thunberg, for instance, also some...
Well, she's just a troublemaker, you know. I mean, she's no longer into the environment, now she's into this. She's a troublemaker. She has an anger management problem. I think she should see a doctor. She needs anger. If you ever watch her, she's a young person. She's so angry. She's so crazy. Now you can have her. She's just a troublemaker.
Just a troublemaker. Just what would she be angry about?
Yeah.
What does she have to be angry about? Everything is peaches and cream for her generation. I don't know why she's so angry. So now this was earlier today. I think the rest, or if they might have a handful still in detention, it's not clear. But they released another 131, including Nkosi Mandela, the grandson of Nelson Mandela, including actually, I believe in this wave, Carsey Blanton, the American singer that we featured a couple times, that we interviewed at a Palestine protest a little over a month ago. I believe she was released with this wave as well. So here's the video they made. The person at the beginning is Quentin Quarantino, has a pretty enormous following on Instagram. We did a story where he was promoting some activism that we were supporting. I can't remember exactly what it was. But here he is along with the others who were released.
Tonight, the Global Samud Flotilla, a humanitarian mission carrying aid to the starving people of Gaza, was violently and illegally raided by Israeli naval forces. Our boats and belongings were stolen while we were zip-tied, brutalized, and blindfolded en route to an internment camp in the Negev desert.
In the camp, we were unjustly detained for 5 days as Israeli authorities systematically violated our rights. We were beaten, abused, and denied access to critical medication from day to day. We were denied food, water, and legal representation. And the U.S. government simply abandoned us to rot in the camp without support for our security or release.
As the flotilla's U.S. delegation, we know that what we have suffered pales to the plight of the Palestinian people. Kidnapped by Israeli forces, 11,000 Palestinians are still held in far worse conditions of indefinite detention. These include the U.S. citizen Mohammed Ibrahim, one of many Palestinians abandoned to suffering and starvation in abusive Israeli prisons.
From here in Amman, Jordan, we want to say how grateful we are for your support, for your calls and your letters, for your marches and mobilizations. All this support has helped to secure our freedom, and we know that we're only here and we're only free because of you.
But the fight is far from done. We've all emerged from this captivity even more committed to the movement for Palestinian liberation. That movement is only growing. We're coming home to keep fighting alongside you until Palestine is free.
And let's not forget, there is another flotilla headed towards Israel. This was at the time I was putting this together this morning, 4 hours, so about 5 hours ago. The second flotilla is very close to Gaza now, undeterred by anything we've heard about what the first went through. 11,000 Palestinians are still trapped in such prisons, including over 400 children. So turning back is not an option. Track us here. So if you want to track them, they're at thousandmaidens.fr/tracker/ if you want to see where they are. And, let's not forget, they've pointed out quite a few times, don't ignore this flotilla because no celebrities are on it. It looks like this flotilla has a very large proportion of journalists and medical professionals, doctors. There are people from Doctors Without Borders on this flotilla. We know the Israelis, man. They're the lives of anyone making this journey is in jeopardy. If the Israelis think they can get away with it, they will think nothing of murdering everyone on these boats. So let's not forget this flotilla. It doesn't have people who are famous, but it has people who are taking their lives in their hands just the same way, trying to draw attention to the plight of the people in Gaza. So definitely eyes on the flotilla.
Yeah, of course. And, by imprisoning the crew of this flotilla, they, meaning the Israelis, inadvertently called attention to the conditions inside these prisons where they keep Palestinians indefinitely. As for this flotilla coming behind it, look, these actions inspire more actions, and this last flotilla made it further than any flotilla had in 16 years. And at a certain point, the Israeli Navy is going to be overwhelmed, assuming a volume of, ships keeps coming in and coming in and coming in. And then you have to ask the question, okay, if one of these boats does slip through and the people get to Gaza, how do they get out? Right? That's another question.
Yep.
You're talking about journalists coming, doctors coming. We know that, and this is a morbid thought, obviously, among many, but, we've heard that part of the reason why we're not seeing as much carnage out of Gaza now is because a lot of the journalists are dead. A lot of people documenting that are no longer alive.
Everything's flattened. There's not a building standing.
Yeah, it is. It's just unthinkable. It's just unthinkable. And we're waiting to see if this peace deal comes through and gets finalized. And I don't know what the implications for that are on the flotilla and the resumption of UN aid into Gaza. But at this point, so much of that damage is already done. And so, these actions inspire more actions, and hopefully there is another flotilla coming behind this. That is one part about this being on a coastline, right? It is accessible from the sea, and one of the benefits of this flotilla, this last one, even though it did not reach shore, is that Palestinians were able to fish their own waters for the first time in many years.
Yeah, for a minute. I'm sure not able to again now.
Not now. But while the Navy was out apprehending the boats, they were able to actually fish their own waters. They were able to actually use their own resources, right? And it's an amazing thing to think that there are people who will justify a status quo in which that is not possible everyday life. What does it say about the fact that they're not allowed to fish their own waters?
Right, and if you look at Israeli propaganda, they'll tell you Gaza had a state. It was a state, and look what they did.
Right.
They don't tell you it wasn't a state. It was a prison.
Right.
They make it out as no, it was like Paris there.
Right.
It was like Paris, and look, they attacked us anyway.
Right. Sorry, something's floating in this water. It's weird. It's nasty. All right. Sorry. Well, there we go.
Put that in the clip.
It's in the can anyway. What the hell is that?
Please clap.
Yeah, please clap. Yeah, exactly.
They're right there.
Yeah. We should release that as a short. What's in this water? All righty. Well, 1927 filing in over on YouTube, 438 over on Rumble. I see some people saying Rumble's a little glitchy today. If it's too glitchy for you, you can bounce over to the YouTube side. We're live on both platforms. Remember that, everybody. All right, the BBG says, will you cover the Coleman Hughes-Dave Smith debate? Comments seem to say Hughes won. I have not seen that. Also, for your doc, why upload video through cloud instead of plugin? Because we're dumb. That's why. No, we meant to upload it via plugin. What happened was when we went to upload the footage via plugin, we didn't realize that we couldn't do plugin for all of our footage if we had the cloud on, because when you have the settings to share to cloud, it automatically stores them as a different kind of file in your phone. And then the only way to turn that feature off would be to erase what's in the cloud. So in other words, by the time we realized that we couldn't do both, we would have had to delete the 10 hours of footage that we already shot. So at that point, we were committed. But yeah, next time we are going to make sure we have the settings set up right before we start.
Yeah, as far as the other thing goes, I've seen some of the conversation going on. I haven't actually seen the clips. The calling out Dave Smith for invoking authority, which they're saying is hypocritical because that's what he impugned Douglas Murray for. He was directing Coleman Hughes to read a book rather than to actually be able to cite the facts himself. Look, I've said this for a while as far as Dave Smith goes. You know, man, I mean, here and there, talking to like dummies and just, mindless propagandists, he comes off pretty well. He's a lightweight, man. Like, that doesn't surprise me that he had a problem like that. I mean, that's why you never really see guys like that want to talk to Max Blumenthal or want to talk to Norman Finkelstein. Like, I think Smith in this area, he's well intentioned, but I think he's a lightweight. That doesn't surprise me that he ran into trouble with somebody who came prepared.
Yeah, I didn't know. Where did they have that debate? I didn't even hear about that.
I think on Hughes's show.
Oh, interesting. All right. All right. What do we got over here? We got Nocturnal Human. I can't believe it's today, the big day when Jose Vega makes an announcement. Can't think of anything else that happens today. Free Palestine. Yeah, I think he's going to do it on Thursday. It's there's a lot of shit. There's a lot of like bureaucracy to deal with.
He probably doesn't want to do it today.
Well, no, he's not. I mean, he was going to do it with us, but he keeps having to push it back because there's all kinds of bullshit you have to go through. But we'll get there someday. I bet Mossad was monitoring Kirk's communications in real time. Operation Shut Kirk Up is a go. Thank you, Eric Rousseau. Abiding 71. If I found Brigitte's penis, I will find out who killed Charlie Kirk. Candace, what a time to be alive. She actually did say that.
Did she really say that?
Yeah, I meant to get that as part of my exhibits, but I forgot to put that clip
that's
in.
Fucking malpractice, motherfucker. She said that. That's not in your segment.
I wasn't even sure because part of it was that I wasn't sure if it was like AI. Like I didn't even know. Something that outrageous. You just don't know. The Gaza flotillas deserve the Nobel Peace Prize and not a Zion-Cug Donald Trump. Thank you, Eric Rousseau. Appreciate that. Everything's a scam. Everything's a lie. Everything's hypocrisy, and so I don't comply. Maybe I'll send you an audio clip so you can have it in your head every time I send this. Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Vienticus Prime. That's one of your greatest hits. Appreciate that. Eric Rousseau says Macron is such a disaster. It's almost like he has a dick up his ass. Thank you, Eric Rousseau. Appreciate that. Okay. Just set something up here. Beautiful. All right. So let's move right on along. All right. So this was the big news last night, Candace Owens. The Candace Owens latest development. So, folks, you may have remembered, I mean, we've done segments about this. It's been all over Twitter. Candace Owens has been taking it upon herself to investigate the mysterious circumstances surrounding the assassination of Charlie Kirk, going as far as to, investigate herself through whatever sources she can gather, opening up a tip line, and, of course, debunking the quite easily debunkable official story, quote unquote, that we're getting from the government, which is going unchallenged almost everywhere except on her show. And so she's been making a lot of claims lately. We covered them last week. And, one of the things that we said as she was telling these stories about evidence she had is that we can't really speak to the validity of the evidence without seeing it, but we kind of trust that she's telling the truth because it just seemed kind of incredible that she would go out on a limb like this if she didn't have receipts to back it up. But, of course, we said that we have to take this for what it's worth so long as, no documentation comes in. And a lot of people, as the days went on, started taking premature victory laps about how, hey, Candace Owens hasn't produced any of this evidence that she says she has. And all the Candace Owens stands are being real quiet right now and blah, blah, blah. And it started giving me second thoughts for a moment. But just on Wall Street, there's a what do they call it? What is the inverse Kramer? What do they call that thing? Like an automatic portfolio thing? What is that? Oh, you got to unmute.
How did that happen? An ETF.
An ETF. That's right. That's right. I was thinking NFT, but that's not what an NFT is. An ETF.
No.
There's an ETF on Wall Street called the inverse Kramer, where whatever his name is John Kramer or Jim Kramer.
Whatever Jim Kramer says, you invest in the opposite, and it does great. I think last year it outperformed the Pelosi tracker, which is one of the best ETFs. You just buy whatever Pelosi buys.
Exactly. So just like on Wall Street, there's the inverse Kramer. In this space, we have something called the inverse Vanguard, where if the Vanguard says something,
very well known. I made a lot of money off that.
you bet on the opposite, and that's generally considered a pretty good bet. So the Vanguard guys on October 5th tweet out, remember that week everyone on YouTube was pretending Candace Owens was a serious authority on the Kirk killing until every last bit of what she was saying was debunked, so they just moved on without corrections? Good times. All right, so as soon as I saw that, I said, all right, evidence must be forthcoming. And sure enough, it was. So last night, Candace Owens shared a group chat with Josh Hammer, Rob McCoy, and 6 other TPUSA affiliates, where Charlie Kirk explicitly said he had no choice but to leave the pro-Israel cause just 48 hours before he was assassinated. So here's Candace Owens bringing what I imagine is the first of many receipts, but this is a pretty serious one. So let's take a look at the video.
Knew that Charlie was done with Israel bullying him, and I am now going to present you proof of what I am saying. This is an actual group chat, which happened 2 days before Charlie Kirk was assassinated. There were 9 people in total on this chat, including Charlie and Rob McCoy. I'm going to protect the names of the other 7 for now. To be clear, I might actually release a name every day this week, but I want to show you this because suffice it to say, Rob McCoy was on this text thread, and I think it helps contextualize him as a person, in my view, that he would attack me for telling the truth about the pressure that he was facing.
So Rob McCoy, we'll get into that in a moment once the video's done, but he's a pro-Israel pastor. He's a friend of Charlie Kirk's.
Take a look. So Charlie writes in this group chat, just lost another huge Jewish donor, $2 million a year because we won't cancel Tucker. I'm thinking of inviting Candace. Somebody writes, oh. Charlie writes, Jewish donors play into all of the stereotypes. I cannot and will not be bullied like this, leaving me no choice but to leave the pro-Israel cause.
Wow. Jewish donors play into all the stereotypes. I cannot and will not be bullied like this, leaving me no choice but to leave the pro-Israel cause. This was two days before he was killed.
Then somebody writes, a donor writes, please do not invite Candace. That might feel good short term, but it's not good long term. In my opinion, like all groups, you're going to get a wide variety of opinions. That nasty free will thing that God bestowed on us makes life frustrating at times after the dust settles a bit, maybe. So again, this is 48 hours before Charlie Kirk was assassinated. He was very clear and he was very explicit, and he did not back down, not in that Hamptons meeting, which they're all lying about, nor in this text thread. I'm not going to reveal the names of the other 7. Actually, you know what? I disagree with myself 4 seconds ago. Let's just throw in Josh Hammer for funsies. He's on this chat, okay? So what are we to make of that? Okay, now that I'm showing you this and showing to you that the conversations were real, I want you to reflect, and it took me a lot of patience to allow the lies that were being woven and the misrepresentations of people that were pretending that I was just, high on lying about Charlie and the pressure he was under, the attacks that not just me, Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly faced for trying to stand up and tell the truth about what Charlie was actually going through. Why are you hearing it, though, from me and Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly? Isn't that weird? You got people that are hosting a show. Have they, in like one honorable thing, come out and said, like, you know what? F a couple of these donors who made his life a living hell over the last couple of weeks. Why haven't they done that? There's also a rabbi in that chat. Like, why hasn't anybody made that move to at least say, to vindicate what I have been saying about what he was going through? That registers to me as very suspicious. I'm going to frankly say that. It's suspicious to me. It makes me think that in the same way that Charlie was being pressured by money, that you might be now run by that same money, that those same donors might be running you to correct the ship and to focus yourselves on eulogizing Charlie as something and someone that never once flinched, never once for a single second doubted the Israeli cause.
Yep. That is very suspicious, I will say. I think she is 100% right about that. So here are the texts once again. Just lost another huge Jewish donor, $2 million a year because we won't cancel Tucker. I'm thinking of inviting Candace. Jewish donors play into all the stereotypes. I cannot and will not be bullied like this, leaving me no choice but to leave the pro-Israel cause.
I went out to a restaurant with these donors. I was so embarrassed. They tipped 7%.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. We can't have this.
Never again.
A terrible look for the organization. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, that is very, very damning stuff. Like, this is now, as far as I could tell, circumstantial evidence. It's not proof. You know, now a lot of the Zionists are moving the goalposts. Well, this proves nothing. Nobody said it proved anything. It's not proof. It's not physical evidence. It's circumstantial evidence. And what it does is it corroborates yet again reporting not just from Candace Owens, but from people like Max Blumenthal, who reported that this relationship had been strained dating back to, the midsummer. And so, yeah, this validates so much of what she said. And this is why I felt like we should report on it at the time she said it, because even though we had no receipts at the time, it just seemed impossible to me that she would risk her credibility in that way. I don't know Candace Owens, obviously. I don't know much about Candace Owens. I haven't followed her career very closely up until the last year or so. And so I obviously could not speak to her character, even if I wanted to. But regardless of any speculation on that front, in terms of who she is, the kind of person she is, you could tell from watching someone like her with the following she has and just the way of presenting herself that she's a very serious business person. You know, she seems to be on her game. She seems to take tremendous care in maintaining a reputation and building a brand. To go out on a limb with, I won't say accusations, but with allegations that such evidence exists without knowing what you're talking about, without having it and knowing what it is and knowing that it is as strong and direct as you're billing it.
Yeah, there's only room for one Alex Jones.
Yeah, right, exactly. Well, this is the thing, it's funny you mention that, because there are a lot of topics like 9/11, like the Epstein files, that are so shrouded in mystery that, yeah, you can kind of get away with fudging a few details around the edges because we're so unlikely to know the entire story that you're not really going to get called out or caught in a lie if you fudge a thing or two here at the periphery of the issue. That's not what this is.
They got a whole lab where they got frogs fucking garter snakes, and now they're in the public schools.
Yeah, exactly. You could get away with that shit if the issue is so shrouded in mystery, right? But this is not that issue. She's making a very direct, simple claim about something that just happened, about a cataclysmic event that everybody is focused on. You can't make a claim like that if you don't have the receipts to back it up without ruining your reputation forever. If she didn't have these messages, this whole thing would have been a career ender. And I knew enough about Candace Owens to know that she wouldn't do that. She wouldn't set herself up for that kind of embarrassment in that way. She just wouldn't. So it just seemed kind of impossible to me that she was lying or that she was, overselling. Right? Because even if you have something, you may not have what you say you have. It seemed very unlikely that was the case. It always seemed far more likely that she actually had something, and she has something. She has something. The fact that he says, leaving me no choice but to abandon the pro-Israel cause on a text chain with 9 people on it. That means a lot of people knew that's what he said. And don't forget, Utah Valley University, this was the first stop on his campus tour, which means obviously this issue is going to come up. Right? Almost every day, if not every day on this campus tour. So if he's deciding, you know what, I'm abandoning the pro-Israel cause and I'm going on tour, well, once he starts talking the way Candace is talking, right? Or even if he doesn't go there right away, if he starts out the way Tucker is talking, that is extremely dangerous to the future of the conservative movement if you are determined to keep Zionism an acceptable part of conservative orthodoxy. Like Charlie Kirk was that influential If he was going to turning point against Israel, that is a major threat to support for Israel inside the United States, because Democrats have already jumped ship. You talk about single-digit support for Israel now among Democrats. Independents, what is it, 30-something? Republicans, that's really the last frontier, and most young Republicans were already turning away from Israel. So it was extremely, I think, that is pretty seismic for him to say that I'm abandoning the pro-Israel cause. And on the first stop on the tour, before he could ever say it out loud to anyone, before he could ever say it in public to anyone, he's gone. That is now very suspicious. I'm sorry. This is now very suspicious because we actually have evidence now. It's not proof. It's not physical evidence, but it is compelling circumstantial evidence that definitely piques my curiosity.
Yeah, well, you're looking at means, motive, and opportunity. As far as means go, I think it's pretty inarguable that Israel, of any country on earth today, including the United States, has most openly and consistently used political assassination as a means of statecraft. Right. I mean, there was an entire movie about it, mainstream Hollywood movie, Munich, whose tone was really about the moral conundrum of having to do this. It certainly wasn't questioning it. It was very sympathetic to the Israelis being put in a position where what else are we supposed to do to maintain our apartheid state? But of course, it doesn't interrogate that part of it. So yeah, like the Israelis assassinate people quite blatantly and quite openly. So you're talking about a state that hasn't even had the pretense of not doing political assassination, that has had that in its toolkit from the beginning and even before the beginning of its existence. It always did political assassination. The Zionist movement always did political assassination. So that means you're talking about a group that's had almost a century of practice at assassinating people. So they certainly have the means. Motive, well, you just saw it. Opportunity, this whole country is an open opportunity for Israelis to do whatever the fuck they want. We've seen that pretty clearly. So yeah, does that prove it? No. It strongly suggests it particularly when you combine it with the way that our own FBI has clearly been covering up what actually happened. I saw somebody actually shared that, what Candace shared, and the supposed Tyler Robinson exchange with his boyfriend said, which of these texts seems more believable to you?
Oh, well, we'll get to that. We will get to that part of it. I just do want to flesh out a little bit. So Rob McCoy, who she mentioned, was a pastor, a pro-Israel pastor, was Charlie Kirk's friend. So he posted this on the 16th, so 6 days after Kirk was killed. Charlie Kirk was my friend and I was his pastor. I want to simply say this regarding Candace Owens. Charlie Kirk was a friend to Candace and never publicly spoke poorly of her, though he disagreed with her. He never operated nor entertained gossip or innuendo concerning Candace. My only comments I offer regarding Candace is this. I only wish that at this tragic time of mourning, she would be the friend to Charlie that he was to her. He would never have treated Candace or her family in such a way had, God forbid, this tragedy had been hers. A friend loves at all times. No, this is a tactic now, and this was almost a month ago.
I like the way that's very cute.
Yeah, the honorable thing to do is to just adopt the party line and insist that this was a lone wolf actor with a furry trans boyfriend or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. That's the honorable thing to do. So Ryan Matta, he's a content creator. He's been following this for a while. I want to just show you his take on this. So let's take a look.
On this strategy, in case you're getting gaslit by some propagandists from Israel that are paid by AIPAC, I mean with your tax dollars. Let me break down the brilliance of this strategy that we've watched Candace play out over the last couple of weeks. So last week, Candace tells us that she's got intel that Charlie Kirk cut ties completely with Israel. It was 48 hours before his assassination. He contacted the top Jewish donors at Turning Point, and he said that he had no choice but to completely cut ties with Israel 100%. Turning Point was going to completely take a new angle. He was bringing Tucker to his event, and then he also wanted to bring Candace to that event. Now, people are complaining that she blocked out the names. Let me explain how brilliant this is. Number one, last week was brilliant because by Turning Point not responding, we all knew that Candace had it right. Because if they thought that she was lying in any way, shape, or form, you've seen all the relentless attacks about absolutely nothing. They fabricate shit and try to make it up like Candace is saying something, and they go and attack her. She put out that one, they didn't say shit, okay? Now let me show you these tweets. Okay, so you wanna see, this is Charlie Kirk doubling down. This is how obviously pissed off he was. So this is in a group chat with a bunch of people. There's a rabbi in here, Charlie Kirk's fake pastor, Josh Hammer, that's who we know so far. So Charlie Kirk says, just lost another huge Jewish donor, $2 million a year because we won't cancel Tucker. And he goes, I'm thinking of inviting Candace. And this person goes, ugh. Charlie Kirk goes, Jewish donors play into all of the stereotypes. I cannot and I will not be bullied like this, leaving me no choice but to leave the pro-Israel cause. Boom. He's telling them right here. He's done. Done with Israel, done with their shit. And then this person, grayed out name, goes, please don't invite Candace. That might feel like good short term, but it's not good long term, in my opinion. Like all groups, you're going to get a wide variety of opinions. That's the nasty free will thing that God bestowed upon us to make life frustrating at times. After the dust settles a bit, maybe. So look at this, it's such a crazy shit. Okay, this is brilliant because now they know who they are, right? But we don't. So now, while Candace sits on these names, it's going to be very interesting to see how these people respond. And it's their behavior that we're looking for. Something's not adding up. I don't know what it is, but Candace is constantly keeping pressure on the FBI. She's constantly keeping pressure on Turning Point. And when you keep pressure on organizations like this, what do? They make mistakes. And that's the name of the game. Candace is playing chess. Now, you guys might disagree with me. You guys might not like Candace, but so far, she's now brought the receipts. She's delivered on exactly what she claimed. And the thing you have to think about, like, if Candace were to be lying about this and she didn't have rock solid evidence, if she didn't have those receipts when she made those claims, and they would have called her bluff on that, that one claim right there would have been big enough to kind of blow and discredit everything that she's done. Charlie Kirk was her boy, and she seems to be the only one, and I mean the only one in conservative media. Where's Bannon? Bannon and Kirk were supposed to be boys like this. They came up together. And then what about Jack Posobiec? Where's Jack Posobiec? The Benny Johnsons. That's what I keep pointing out. Like, these guys, I'm not saying that they involved, I'm saying that they aren't doing shit, right? Which you might as well be abating and abetting the covering up of the Charlie Kirk assassination. It's really that simple. At this point, if you're not going hard, you're not questioning this narrative and the slop that our government's feeding us, shame on you. Like, you don't deserve any respect. You don't deserve for us to consume your content. You're just a grifter. You're just a paid influencer shill that benefits from being close to the president, and you don't want to burn any bridges because of the access that you're getting. Prove me wrong.
Boom. Exactly.
Well, that's
exactly
it. Like where are his other friends on this? Like, where are these people? Because these people,
and it's so transparent. It's so transparent. It's one of the worst. It's maybe the worst government cover up I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. Like it's the most obvious cover up you've ever seen, and you have his friends here who are just kind of towing the party line because Daddy says it's left violence, so we have to say it's left violence because that's the easy road to hoe. And Candace Owens has not gone down that road. Tucker Carlson has not gone down that road. Now, no one has taken it upon themselves to investigate this the way she has as a friend of his. But yeah, of course, you have to ask questions like like what he said is true. It's not that they're involved. It's that they're taking the easy way out because it's not worth burning the president. It's not worth burning people, whereas Charlie Kirk, and this is the irony, Charlie Kirk was a friend of theirs, obviously knew he was burning people. And we know he was talking about how he was afraid of these people. So Charlie Kirk's talking about how he's afraid of these people if he crosses them. He crosses them. He gets shot, and Candace Owens is the only person in conservative media who seems to want to get to the bottom of this, who's still talking about this as if it's an open question who was behind this and how. Yeah, no, this is pretty bad. My thoughts. So this is MJ Truth Ultra. This is really bad. If true, it screams of motive. But first, here's a few things we should understand. This message, judging by its format, was written on a private Telegram chat 100%. I've seen many times when scammers have spelled out my name pretending to be me, and you'd never be able to tell it wasn't me without seeing the actual handle of that account. Not saying these messages aren't authentic, but it would prove they are 100% authentic by providing the handle of Charlie's account. More on that in a moment. They are authentic, by the way. These messages have been confirmed real. So I don't want to bury the lead too much. So for now, I'm taking Candace's word for it, which means someone in that group chat released those internal messages to her. Also, TPUSA has a lot of explaining to do and can right now say these messages are either authentic or not. This is 100% motive. So Uncensored says, all right, if what Candace posted is true, I'm happy to eat crow. Israel killed him. Yeah, there are a lot of people now who are saying, wow, this is a surprise. Evan Kilgore, Zionist, Candace Owens never brings the receipts about Charlie Kirk and is embarrassing herself. Candace Owens, boom. There you go. There are the receipts. Clint Russell says, leaving no choice but to leave the pro-Israel cause. 48 hours later, gone. Look, if you want to ignore this as a possible motive, feel free. I cannot. If the FBI narrative were even remotely coherent, I might dismiss it, but it isn't, so I won't. Yeah, that's the other thing. Weighing this against what? Against a story that makes absolutely zero sense to anybody. Chris Minahan says, if these texts are legit, it's huge. Israel agent Rabbi Pisak Walicki, I like calling him PSAC, whether that's his name or not. and Josh Hammer, who's a conservative
it would
writer.
Be Pesach.
But I like PSAC. PSAC Walicki and Josh Hammer have both said they gave Charlie Kirk near daily Hasbara coaching on a private group chat and went all over the media after Kirk's death to deny the claim he had any falling out with Israel. Exactly. That's the thing. They've lied about this every step of the way. Neither mentioned these comments, which are highly relevant if true, and neither revealed the full list of players in the chat. That's right. So Josh Hammer, who's a conservative writer, I think he's an author. I think he has a book out about Israel. They were on this chat. So anybody who denies that there was tension between Charlie Kirk and Jewish donors about Israel who was on this chat is now a proven liar. Just a proven liar. Speaking of which, Max Blumenthal tweets out, I reported that a small group of Israel lobbyists, including Josh Hammer, Bill Ackman, Sean McGuire, and Pisak Walicki, were in a chat with Charlie during his last days. Was Ackman in the explosive chat revealed here by Candace Owens? And if so, why is he covering this up? That's a good question. Was Bill Ackman part of this chat? There were 9 people. Candace apparently knows all of them. She hasn't released all of the names yet. I think she's doing this as a slow drip just to kind of keep this front of mind for everybody, right? But yes, that is a very good question. So, of course, Evan Kilgore, holy shit, Candace Owens just shared a screenshot of a group chat where Charlie Kirk explicitly said he was leaving the pro-Israel cause just 48 hours before he was assassinated. Rob McCoy, Josh Hammer, and 6 others were also in the chat. Candace brought the receipts. You know who he got retweeted by? Marjorie Taylor Greene gets quote tweeted by Marjorie Taylor Greene. Hello.
Yeah, you know who else got retweeted by Marjorie Taylor Greene? Gen X girl.
That's right. Shout out to Gen X girl for doing a piece about how Israel propagandizes conservatives into supporting them. So Marjorie Taylor Greene amplifying that tweet. So that is terrific to see. Now this was this was common in certain circles, right? The questioning the authenticity of the text messages, because what a lot of pro-Israel people pointed to was, well, you guys question the validity of the FBI text message, so why should we take this seriously as being real? So the Misfit Patriot says, I will give Candace every single shekel Israel has paid me for my posts if she can prove those text messages are real. Well, again, just like there's an inverse Vanguard, there may be an inverse Misfit Patriot as well, because pretty soon after that, boom, took less than 24 hours, pay up, fatty. So here is, one of Charlie Kirk's friends. I forget this guy's name. He's now heading things up over there. I forget what, does anybody in the chat remember this guy's name? I call him the Juan Guaido of Turning Point USA. He issued a statement about these messages, confirming that, in fact, they are real.
To address some of the things that have been going around on public, namely about a group text chain that has been made known and released by Candace Owens. And I just want to address it head on because, that was a screen grab that I had shared with people. So it is authentic. And I want to go into it because I actually am really excited that the truth is out there.
Oh, I'm excited about it. They're authentic, and I'm really glad that it came out. So there he is, confirming once again, these are authentic. One more time.
Because, that was a screen grab that I had shared with people. So it is authentic. And I want to go into it because I actually am really excited that the truth is out there.
I'm really excited that the truth is out there. I'm glad that those text messages came to light. That's like when a detective knocks on your door. I'm really glad you found that lock of hair under my passenger side tire. I'm really glad you found that. I've been excited to talk about that with you. So thank you. Why don't you come on in? I'll make you a pot of coffee. Right? So there he is. There he is, authenticating that those texts are real. So that was, one sort of question that people had was, okay, are these real or are these fabricated? And I trusted that they were real for the same reason that I trusted that Candace had receipts in the first place, which is that it's simply too big a chance to take. It's too big a gamble to take. If you are talking the way she's been talking for the past couple weeks and you don't have the receipts to back it up, that is a career ender. It is a career ender. That is a reputation killer. And Candace Owens, whatever you think of her, seems very protective of her reputation to the point where I never believed there was a chance in hell that she would go out on a limb like that if she did not have the receipts to back up what she was talking about. I never believed that for a second. Russell, what's going on? Waiting for it to work itself out. Did you just re-enter the chat or something? I'm not sure. Russell is a spinning black line. Let's see. Yeah, he's in there. All right. Well, something's going on. Oops. Hold on one second. Okay. There we go. Yep. Russell is, I don't know where he's at. Not sure. Let me see. Is his internet out? Excuse me. You have to come back in. I'll take some super chats. Jim Taleb, thanks for the $2 super sticker. Appreciate that very much. Michael Castillo says, gentlemen, Greta has more heart than those people talking shit about her. Free Palestine. Thank you, Michael Castillo. Very much for that. CEB Applejack says Coleman did not win. Listen to that cast. What he does is deny what is stated and hold what Condoleezza Rice states as fact. Fact ICER. I don't know what that means. The actual evidence. Yeah, I did not watch it. I'm assuming that was fairly recent. Excuse me. Let's see here. Jolly Man Big Boy says the way politicians and billionaires talk about Israel makes me think the wall acts like the tree from the Evil Dead when they are left alone with it. Thank you, Jolly Man Big Boy. All right, what do we got here? Furrow Screen Fire Dancer says, of course, a bitten tongue is nothing relatively. No offense. Kit's Corner says, I like you guys, so I won't hold Toronto's win over your heads. Also, with our government censorship bill to cut off internet access to violators, better get my word in now. See bills. Thank you, Kit's Corner. Appreciate that. Nocturnal Human says, Russell, I think you might need new earphones. I think I might need a new Russell. It sounds like the wires might be loose, and that might be why you got muted. There's a static sound sometimes when you move. All right. Interesting. Eric Rousseau says the post-duopoly leftists like Jimmy, you, etc. must get on shows like Candace and Tucker. They can be moved and educated on issues, no left or right, but a populist front. Thank you, Eric Rousseau. Appreciate that, my friend. Let's see. Jolly Man Big Boy. That we got that one already. Okay. Okay. CO gatekeeper distracting from truth. CK equals squib. Just for the record, Candace isn't suicidal. Yeah, you notice everybody has to make that disclaimer now. That's how you know you're living in a free country where like people who talk about Israel have to assure people that they're not suicidal. You had Theo Vaughn saying that he's not suicidal, shouting out Israel right after he said it. You got Candace Owens talking like that. That makes you feel great that you really live in a free country where you have to make that disclaimer just for stating your opinion about a foreign country. Yeah, that's wonderful, isn't it? TPUSA confirmed the text was real. Yes, they did. There you are. All right, your sound isn't working now or something. You got to get your sound back on.
I was trying to go over to the phone as a hotspot.
Oh, okay. What happened?
And it wouldn't do that. It was just the whole, man, the whole signal just dropped.
Interesting.
It was one of those things.
All right. Well, I mean, I wrapped the segment, so I think we're good. Anything else to say about that? You saw the guy saying it was a real text? Here, I'll play this for you so you can see it.
To address some of the things that have been going around on public, namely about a group text chain that has been made known and released by Candace Owens. And I just want to address it head on because, that was a screen grab that I had shared with people. So it is authentic. And I want to go into it because I actually am really excited that the truth is out there.
I'm excited. It's great.
This is awesome. This is what we all wanted, all of us that are taking the money at TPUSA.
Here, I'll repeat my line. I said that's like if telling the detective, I'm glad you found that lock of hair under my tire. I'm really glad you found that. I'm excited to talk to you about it.
Yeah, let me explain it. That's what I really want to explain it. Yeah, when you look at fucking Beanie Boy Tim Pool over there, who we know secretly met with Netanyahu and Dave Rubin and then got busted over it, who went on the air and when the people on his panel, who I guess weren't in on the money, didn't get paid, started talking about the USS Liberty. You know what? It doesn't matter who did it. I don't understand anybody who listens to these people or takes them seriously. It's not like it's not obvious that they're compromised, whether directly or whether, as you said, they don't want to run afoul of the president and the people that they're grifting off of, man. So they're not going to say anything about it. Why would you take Benny in the closet seriously about anything? But of course, the answer is it's the same reason we've talked about this, for as long as we've had a show. Why would you watch MSNBC? They're always wrong. Because it's not about getting the truth. It's about getting your worldview reinforced. It's about being fed a narrative. It's a news flavored product. That's what MSNBC is. And these Benny in the closet kind of people, Tim Pool, it's that for a generation that doesn't watch cable. It's just feeding you whatever culture war confirmation bias you want. And, people who that's all they're in it for, they don't care that they're compromised by Israel or owned. For the most part, they just stay off those topics. Increasingly, if you notice, they try not to talk about it unless they have to, because they know their audience is not on the administration side on that. So they just don't talk about it. That's why every time ICE goes out, it's a gift for these people. It gives them something else to talk about that their audience actually is going to like.
Right. And this guy, just to be clear, because I don't know if your internet cut out before I set it up, he's the new head of TPUSA. So this is the guy on the inside. So this is why he was able to authenticate the text. Yeah, I forget his name. I call him the Juan Guaido of TPUSA. I forget his name. But he is the guy who said that he's the guy who paraphrased the medical examiner who said that it was a miracle that the bullet didn't go through him, that his neck bones stopped the bullet. This is the guy who tweeted that out. So he is in a position to know that the texts are real, and so he confirms that the texts are real. And now, as for Turning Point USA, I mean, and Jimmy got into this last night. There's a possibility these people at the organization itself are a little scared, are a little freaked out, because if you notice, they haven't been indulging Candace Owens' investigation, but they also haven't been denouncing her. They haven't been shouting her down and telling her to shut up. either, right? So they just might be sitting tight and seeing how this plays out, because I think what Ryan said is also true, that, you know, if Charlie was being, you know, if Charlie was having this money held over his head, well, there's a good chance that they're now having this money held over their head, or the people who wrote those checks looming over them now. That is a possibility as well.
And James Lee has been all over the Erica Kirk element to this. A lot of very, very disturbing stuff about her and this Romanian charity are coming out. Yeah, man, it's ugly. And this is why they got Larry Ellison going scorched earth and buying every media and social media platform he can, man, because the more you look at what the truth is, the more horrific it looks, man. And the only way they can keep people from talking about this is to literally buy all of the places where they would have that discussion.
Yeah. And look, I mean, in terms of Erica Kirk, you know, Jimmy was talking about this last night too. It is strange she's saying nothing. It's possible she's scared. I wouldn't blame her for being scared. And, you know, I think the closer you get to this, the more you have to say, well, okay, who are the people who are just towing the party line? Those are the people at the, like, outer peripheries. Like, those are just like the overt grifters, like the Benny Johnsons and those types who are just saying whatever the president wants them to say, and that's that. At the organization itself, where you have Erica Kirk, where you have this guy here, they're not saying much of anything at all, right? Like, they're not validating what Owens is saying, but they're also not coming out issuing statements. How dare she do this? This is hurting us. Like, they're not doing that, which tells me, you know, they might be just in a position where they don't know exactly what's going on, and they could be scared. I wouldn't blame them for being scared. I'd be fucking scared.
Yeah.
I'd be fucking scared if these people all now know, especially as this stuff comes out, you know,
or they might just be deciding it's a fight they don't want to pick when they're trying to co-opt this movement.
That's possible. We just don't know that we just don't know. You know, in terms of Erica Kirk, I would lean more in the direction, like, I don't suspect any involvement. I don't expect any foul play on her. I don't suspect any of that.
Listen, the way that she's behaving is not fucking normal. It is not normal. If
none of these people are normal.
Yeah,
here's the thing. None of these people behave normal.
Yeah. I know
Celebrities don't act normal.
Okay,
you know?
Right. Right. I know. But listen, man, I've been to some very ugly places and I've known some very fucked up people. That woman is not right. I am telling you, there is something very off about her. Maybe we can get James Lee on the show. He's been doing a pretty good job breaking down some very weird things in her past. Was she involved? We don't know. But the more you look at her past, the more you might say, maybe.
You don't get an interview with Charlie Kirk unless you have weird things in your past. You don't get a sit-down interview with the head of Turning Point USA unless you have weird things in your past. Like, you know, it's an organization, it's an elite right-wing political organization,
and people
right?
with weird things like that in their past might be the kind of people who would either get a call like, your husband's got to go, or after he's gone would get a call like, now this is what you need to do.
Yeah, they're also the kind of people who can get it together for a camera for 20 minutes a day, too, which is why I don't pass too much judgment. Like, when you spend time, like, at the outer peripheries of show business, like I have, and you do an open call audition for actors and actresses, and you're
becoming like the Michael Tracy of Erica Kirk.
Well, you realize like 99% of people who call themselves actors and actresses have no business calling themselves, because they literally can't do the basics, right? So then you look at a person like a Paris Hilton or a Kim Kardashian, like a socialite influencer, and how everybody looks at these people as just like empty-headed bimbos, waste of DNA. No, those people, as stupid as we might think that they are, the Kardashians and the Paris Hiltons, they actually have a tremendous amount of charisma and composure and poise compared to the average person who thinks they could be them, right? The average person who thinks, hey, I could show my tits for the camera and smile and talk. No, you can't. No, you can't, because you have no charisma, no poise, and no talent. So the point is, someone like Erica Kirk it doesn't surprise me that they could pull it together for a half hour for a podcast on it because they're high functioning people. To me, that does not mean that's not suspicious behavior. That doesn't mean that she doesn't love him or she doesn't miss him. I don't buy that at all. I don't buy that. And I'm not going to speculate that about somebody that I don't know.
Okay. Her behavior is very bizarre, particularly when you put it in the context of a lot of what's coming out about her past. I was hesitant before that kind of reporting was out there to really get into it. She didn't feel right to me. I trust my instincts. Like, it's beyond what you're talking about. It's beyond this is a, professional. Her behavior has been very strange for somebody in that situation, even with all of those things taken into account. Now you look at this stuff with this weird Romanian orphanage with accusations of trafficking. It's very weird, dark stuff. Just on things like people like her reminds me of Michael Crichton. He has a passage in the Jurassic Park book about how mammals have a viscerally negative reaction to reptiles because they just don't move right. They just don't move the way that we think a biological organism should move. That's how I feel when I see people like Erica Kirk. She's not right. She's not right.
Yeah. I mean, we're never going to agree. I just think it's impossible to make those assumptions based on limited exposures to people. Like you could evaluate what people say publicly, but I can't evaluate what someone
like I said, it's in a context. Now there's reporting coming out that reinforces what was my gut instinct.
Well, of course they have time. Like all these people are going to have ties to weapons manufacturing. Like, yes, they're they're the inner circle of an elite conservative political movement.
Right. It's
like they're all going to have things in their past. What do you think we're going to get? What do you think they got Uber drivers running TPUSA? Right. You think it's our operation?
Right. It's not just she knew a guy once from Northrop Grumman. It's beyond that.
Yeah. All right. Let's see here. Matt Cootie, Keaton, if the Yankees lose tonight, don't worry, you can always root for the Brewers. Not all is lost. Great show as always. Have a nice day. Well, Brewers and Mariners would be a good series because the Mariners have never been to a World Series and the Brewers have never won a World Series. So that would be fun. That would be ideal if the Yankees don't make it. Dorian Marquise, again, Macron was in the White House asking Trump to ask Candace to stop. Charlie called Candace, then Trump called Candace. Why do Macron, Ackman, others care? Macron was because of the wife's dick story. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you're really all over that, Dorian. Keaton, we have no choice but to leave the pro-Landrew movement 48 hours later. Yeah, that's right. Red French, new here. I really like it. Did you saw the It's China push about Kirk's death? Yeah, I saw that. By the Luna GOP congresswoman, the good old It's Oceania tactic. Yeah, as soon as the heat comes on Israel, the lunatic comes out and says she thought it was China. Yeah. That's pretty funny. Michael Zemrowski, Russell has been raptured. That's when you were gone. Hopefully Rabbi Shmuley doesn't pop up on Russell's space saying he now runs due dissidence. Yeah, there you go.
I'm almost positive he lives in New York because he's always doing his videos from here.
I'm sure he splits time, between Tel Aviv and New York. Today is my birthday. Just wanted to say what a gift your show has been to me. Much love, Free Palestine.
How's the sound from that position? Because I'm always fucking with this because I'm always paranoid that I'm not loud enough.
Yeah, it sounds fine.
That sounds good, right?
Yeah, sounds good. All righty. Let's move right on along.
All right. Oh, shit.
Oh, yeah, you got to load your stuff in.
All my stuff's out.
Yeah. All right. So load the stuff in. And I'll read some more stuff here. What do we got here? Virtuoso says you should change the name to Do Spectrum Bill. Yeah, that's a good. Yes. Thank you for that. Yes, Do Spectrum. That's what I thought. Maybe they cut him off. They cut him off mid-sentence. All right, folks. Hey, it's Tuesday, which means new episode of The Grifter's Bible came out yesterday. The mind-bending novel by El Shabooms called The Grifter's Bible is now a free weekly series on YouTube with a soundtrack by Monumental Sonic Architecture. Follow the First Electric Church of Jesus Christ as they combine the bleeding edge of Black patented neuroscience with the state-of-the-art in Michigan to beat the Great Recession. They sell visions of God to the huddled masses of Deep Ellum, Texas, and the money pours in until the local competition, the police, and the U.S. Navy decide to put a stop to it. There's ass whoopings, car chases, and a showdown at high noon on Good Friday in Dodge City. It's sci-fi noir. It's a picaresque thriller. It's a Western from 10 minutes in the future. It's The Grifter's Bible, and it's a film series by El Shabooms with a soundtrack by Monumental Sonic Architecture. A new episode is posted every Monday at youtube.com/@El Shabooms. There is the link right there, youtube.com/@El Shabooms. New episodes drop every Monday, so go over and subscribe to the YouTube channel and support our dissident artists. All right. Let's see here. Israel also in desperate mode, so rash decision to assassinate Kirk was made. There's now, there is now circumstantial evidence. That's why that was pretty significant, because up until then, it was just what she was saying. Now, I always believed her. I just did not think she would take the kind of chance that she'd be taking if she didn't have evidence to back up what she was saying. But now that is no longer speculation. Now we know that she has it, and now we know that they're real. Vienticus Prime, and yet no matter who you vote for, you still get Israel. Sent you that sound clip. Speaking of music, I just got off the phone with the Patent and Trademark Office. Most relaxing wait. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right. Go ahead.
All right. So the media is saved. CBS News names Bari Weiss as editor-in-chief. When we were all complaining about the corporate media and how it needed to change, I bet this is not what we were imagining, but we should have. Bari Weiss, co-founder and CEO of the Free Press, has been appointed CBS News' editor-in-chief, Paramount announced on Monday. The Free Press will now operate under the company as well. It's a major move from the company, which merged with Skydance Corporation in August under CEO David Ellison. That is the son of Larry Ellison, who actually made the purchase, the largest donor to the IDF. Under Ellison, the company has made several strategic acquisitions and is reportedly exploring whether acquiring Warner Brothers Discovery, which of course would include HBO, one of two channels dropping a multi-part series about the heroic Israelis of October 7th. Quote, this move is part of Paramount's bigger vision to modernize content and the way it connects directly and passionately to audiences around the world, Ellison said in a statement. We believe the majority of the country longs for news that is balanced and fact-based, and we want CBS to be their home, unquote. Though she will remain CEO and editor-in-chief of the Free Press, Weiss will report directly to Ellison. The Free Press will maintain its own independent brand and operations, the company said. Weiss and her wife, Nellie Bowles, launched the Free Press in 2021 with Weiss's sister, Susie. She was previously an opinion writer for the New York Times. Partnering with Paramount, Weiss said, allows the Free Press to expand its audience of 1.5 million. Quote, the values that we've hammered out here over the years, journalism based in curiosity and honesty, a culture of healthy disagreement, our shared belief in America's promise, now have the opportunity to go very, very big, Weiss wrote in a blog post on the Free Press. Okay, so why did she really get the job? Because as we will see, the Free Press is essentially state media for Israel, Matt Taibbi's objections notwithstanding. Israel's biggest U.S. donor now owns CBS. So this is Israel's biggest donor, gives his money to the IDF. Here he is being asked about his relationship to Israel.
What is your connection to Israel?
Well, the renewal of the Jewish state is something that I think touches all of us.
For 2,000 years, we were a stateless people. And now we have a country of our own, defended by all the brave men and women of the IDF. So anything we can do to support them, who devote their lives for preserving the state of Israel, keeping the people safe, and allowing our state to continue sometimes in very, very difficult situations.
Okay, so the man describes Israel as his state. He says our state as a possessor. He is a member of the state of Israel. So essentially, he has dual loyalty. They say that's anti-Semitic to say you have dual loyalty. The man describes Israel as his state. So you didn't have an American buy TikTok as he also acquired from a foreign adversary. You had a representative of a foreign country buy TikTok. It went from one foreign country to another foreign country. So this is from Zay Squirrel. Bari Weiss has been a part of the Israel lobby's propaganda targeting colleges since she was a child. She was trained and raised to focus her entire attention on eliminating pro-Palestine sentiments from the place where new generations, including Jews, came into contact with it. Now, this was a pretty infamous back and forth that Glenn had with Bari Weiss back in 2018 when she became an opinion writer for the New York Times. He exposed her history at Columbia University of persecuting professors. Now, she responded to this. I want to address a baseless accusation being peddled by Glenn Greenwald and others on this platform. When I was an undergraduate student at Columbia, I advocated for the rights of students to express their viewpoints in the classroom. And one of her classmates, who was at the Columbia student paper at the time, responded, is Megan Greenwell. Barry, I have no desire to be involved here, but your synopsis of the events of 2004-2005 is unfair. You weren't simply advocating for students' rights. You were calling professors racist. I know because I wrote or edited most of the stories about it. And this is in part from Glenn's response to her denial. As Professor Juan Cole wrote at the time, the lesson for academics and American society as a whole, McCarthyism is unacceptable, except when criticism of Israel is involved. Indeed, as Ali Abunimah noted last night, just 2 years ago, Weiss wrote a long article accusing Mossad of being an anti-Semite and lamenting that he won tenure in 2009 despite the sustained and strong opposition of student whistleblowers, concerned alumni, and others, unquote. That's what makes this whole spectacle so amazing. The New York Times is allowing one of its columnists to masquerade as a stalwart defender of campus free speech and academic pluralism while utterly ignoring and allowing her to falsely deny her own long history in trying to stigmatize and punish professors who criticized Israel, to the point where the New York Civil Liberties Union stepped in and denounced her campaign as a dangerous threat to academic freedom. Now, that is a summation of the anti-woke grift as well as you could sum it up. And actually, I didn't know this. This was in Glenn's piece that we're going to see in part, his video rant about this. She coined the phrase intellectual dark web. I did not know that, to describe all these dissident dialogue douchebags who push State Department talking points and pretend they're dissidents. So here's a little bit from Branko Marcetic, we interviewed a long time ago. How much is shoddy pro-Israel journalism worth? Asked Bari Weiss. And there's a great article just showing all of the factual errors that the Free Press has committed over the last few years in service to pushing the Zionist narrative. But in part, this is the opening of the article. A thought experiment. Would anyone who referred to the killing of 50 Jewish people, many of them, quote, entirely innocent non-combatants, including children, as one of the unavoidable burdens of political power, of Palestinian liberation's dream turned into the reality of self-determination ever be hired by a major television news network? Would their news outlet ever be potentially offered more than 200 million, this is before we knew what the offer is 150, to merge with that major news outlet? Of course not, and for good reason. Yet that's exactly what's happening, only with one small but major difference. The writer and her news outlet responsible for this statement, Bari Weiss and the Free Press, were not talking about Hamas's murder of Israelis, but rather about Israel's killing of 50 Palestinians. Quote, Zionism's dream turned into the reality of self-determination, unquote, as Weiss described it in 2021. So Weiss described, in her own admission, the killing of women and children as being the unfortunate price of self-determination. Well, you know, I'm sure a lot of people would argue that about Hamas. They probably wouldn't be put in charge of CBS afterwards. Or this from DropSite. This is interesting. A pro-Israel nonprofit is funneling news content through Bari Weiss's Free Press. While the publication first began with a focus on criticizing American progressive culture, since October 7th, it has become essentially a mouthpiece for Israeli government positions. Even as the death toll in the Gaza Strip may have risen above 6 figures, according to some estimates, while Israeli leadership has made their plans for forcible ethnic cleansing explicit, the Free Press's support has not wavered. During this time, the Council for Peace Communications, you want to talk about an Orwellian name, appears to have served as a vehicle to help launder pro-Israel content of uncertain origins through the filter of a news organization. In addition to its prominent board members, the CPC's staff members include many people whose careers have extensively focused on promoting Israel's interests in the region and in Washington. So this is why she has been put in charge of CBS News. Any other explanation is absolutely absurd. Here she is doing her part to spread the propaganda that TikTok is making young people pro-Hamas. Why do young people support Hamas? Look at TikTok, of course, with a scary picture of Xi there, right? Or how about this? You see all of the Zionist propagandists like Mark Levin. I'm sure Qatarlson and the other Qatarites and assorted grifters and bigots will denounce a deal that ostensibly commits our children to fight for Qatar. And, of course, Laura Loomer, every other word out of her keyboard is Qatar, 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 Qatar. Here's Bari Weiss, along with fellow propagandist Douglas Murray, singing that song a year ago.
These universities are willing to have outposts in these countries.
Yeah, and
our
same thing with
bankers,
funding Qatar and American
bankers,
universities.
Our sports teams spit, and you will hit someone in this neighborhood that's a paid up, I don't know, we're not going to say a Qatari agent, but on the Qatari payroll in some way. Yeah. How is that allowed to happen?
Now, that is pretty fucking remarkable for somebody who has clearly been funded by Zionists to promote Zionist propaganda through her, frankly, not very successful media outlet, unless you consider success getting paid to push that kind of propaganda by billionaires like Mark Andreessen and Larry Ellison. If that's success, it's successful, but not by readership. It was never successful. To have her talking about dual loyalty to Qatar is pretty rich, pretty rich. So you want to get an idea of what kind of news you're going to be getting from the new CBS? Here is dogged journalist Bari Weiss questioning a former head of the Mossad about Epstein at the end of an hour-and-a-half interview in which he did very little but glaze her interview subject.
Do a quick lightning round. Was Jeffrey Epstein a Mossad?
No.
Not an agent, not an operative, nothing.
Nothing.
Why do people believe that he was?
The people believe that Mossad has created the tsunami. People believe, I mean, just right now that we have been behind Charlie Kirk's assassination. False. We don't do that. We never will. We never did.
One word for the following people. Barack Obama.
Okay. All right. So that's the kind of news. That's the kind of intrepid reporting you're going to get from the new CBS. Now, this interview got a lot of attention, particularly this clip that Tim Dillon had some fun with, where Weiss pretends to be completely naive about what the Mossad is and what it does.
And welcome to Honestly.
Thank you very much for having me.
Well, a lot of people on the internet believe that you are my boss because they believe that I am a member of the Mossad.
Oh,
but
really?
this is actually the first time that I'm meeting you, or at least as far as I know, any member of the Mossad. So I'm very excited to meet you.
I'm the first one that you've ever met, but
there might be, I might have met people.
Might be others that you know the world.
First, I want to set the table for people because the Mossad is an
Woody
agency
Allen.
that is just
She interviewed
shrouded
him
in
a couple
so
weeks
much
ago.
conspiracy and propaganda. Simple question, Yossi. What is the Mossad?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Tim Dillon Show. A friend of the show, Bari Weiss, did a fascinating interview with a member of the Mossad, and she really looked into the process, and it was incredibly interesting. So what I want to do now is I wanted to bring someone in to explore an area where I am completely clueless. I mean, completely in the dark. And I wanted somebody to kind of walk me through an area of study that I know nothing about, just like Barry did. So I want to thank you for coming, Chloe. You work at Dairy Queen.
That is true, yes.
What is Dairy Queen in your mind? What is it? Because people say that they serve ice cream there, and I'm not even super sure what that is.
What's ice cream?
Yeah, what is ice cream? Like, what is it?
Oh, it's like the frozen dessert ice cream.
Like a little treat.
It is a treat, yeah.
Okay, so for the rest of that, you can go to Tim Dillon's channel, a very funny bit. So not everyone is greeting this news with horror or ironic amusement. Here's Joe Lonsdale. Congrats, Bari Weiss. Happy for you, Nellie, and this amazing team. I'm proud to be an early backer of Bari and Free Press alongside other patriots. I mean, patriots to Israel, if you mean patriots, not to this country. And friends and allies with her as we rebuild our broken institutions to fight for our civilization on multiple fronts. University of Austin, Texas, that's their like little libertarian experiment out there in Austin, and beyond. Okay, so who's Joe Lonsdale? Oh, a founder of Palantir.
Wow.
I can't believe a founder of Palantir is excited about this news. I can't believe that. Here's Clint Russell. I do more views than the Free Press. I think we do more views than the Free Press. I have no staff, no marketing budget. Ellison bought it for $150 million, and Bari Weiss was made editor-in-chief of CBS News. This is not a free market price. This is legal bribery, paying off a dutiful soldier in the propaganda war for Israel. And indeed, this is from today because I wanted the most up-to-date numbers. 3.6. I'm not kidding when I say I think we do more views in general.
No, we do better than this dunking on Eric Weinstein.
Seriously. 3.6 thousand views, 28,000. And that's the big announcement that they got bought out by Paramount. Got 28,000 views as of airtime. Comey government shutdown, 10,000. The only thing they got a lot of views on, the only thing they got above 12,000 besides the announcement is the interview with the Mossad agent. That's
Inside the Mossad. Well, they thought that was a sex tape, to be fair. That's probably why I got all the clicks.
Well, and actually, if you subscribe to Free Press, it is a porn tape.
Yeah.
That's you gotta watch to the end. Her wife comes in. It's a whole thing. We can't describe it here. It's a family show. Okay, so even if you want to make the argument, well, the business is really the Substack, This is today. I did it right before I went on. I wanted the most up-to-date numbers. This is their front page. What Zionism really is. What is that? 103 comments? 166 likes? I mean, what? October 7th was Israel's midlife crisis. 30 likes. No, 30 comments, 73 likes. I mean, this is pretty typical. And then the big...
It's mid, as they would say. It's mid.
It's less than mid. It's less than mid. The big Douglas Murray article, the flagship article there, you got about 150 comments there, a little over 300 likes. I mean, this according to reports, it's not publicly traded. They don't have to disclose those things. According to reports, they get about 15 million in revenue, and how much of that is coming from their investors is not clear because, again, it's not a publicly traded company. They don't have to break down those numbers. But when you look at this, I'm skeptical of even the 15 million number. I mean, nobody really reads the free press. It does not have a big footprint. It's not really a big source of conversation. Like, how many people, even in the conservative space, do you see covering an article or a news story that was in the free press? Like, it's not really a big subject of conversation or attention. Now, Matt Taibbi here, who we give sympathies to as a frontal lobotomy victim. Some people have started calling him Matt McMurphy, and I think that's really cruel. But he put out maybe the absolute worst take on this, which we did a couple of hours on if you want to go back in the library. And, I pointed out, because Glenn did an entire rant about this, we're going to look at in part, he was not directly responding to Taibbi, but Taibbi's not the only one who tried to frame this as the plucky, independent media forcing the legacy media to bend the knee and bring in this new kid with newfangled ideas who built up this independent media outlet with the sweat of her brow. So he said, the jealous losers complaining about Weiss's CBS deals are like spaniels who not only expect their master to feed them, but to cut the canned food in bits. So this is what Glenn had to say. He wasn't responding to Matt, but his overall take on the idea that Bari Weiss is an independent outsider that they turn to go in a new direction.
That Bari Weiss is some sort of countercultural. This idea that Bari Weiss is some sort of countercultural dissident figure who somehow expresses views that are disturbing to the powers that be, it's like the opposite of the truth. And this is the reason why she got investments from like Mark Andreessen and Jerry Seinfeld and all sorts of other oligarchs and billionaires. If you're a threat to the power structure, you're not getting investments from those people. And that's why it's the opposite of surprise. It's not like, oh my God, it's so shocking. I never imagined the day when somebody with Bari Weiss's political views and ideology could possibly rise within CBS News. And what are we supposed to believe? That corporate media until now has been extremely hostile to those who support Israel? And the same thing is like, oh, finally somebody who opposes the most extreme and now discredited parts of like the left-wing culture war agenda. Finally, someone like that is going to have a voice in mainstream media and corporate media and in power centers around the country. It's like when the CIA started touting their non-binary, neurodivergent, Latina operatives, or when the FBI has like LGBT Day or Women's Day and they hype all their female, agents or whatever. It's putting this like very superficial, seemingly new and progressive branding on what underneath is a completely unchanged, ossified, and extremely familiar pro-establishment agenda and dogma. That's what Bari Weiss is. That's what she's going to CBS to do. And so if you're the world's richest person or second richest person in the world, like Larry Ellison is, and you're 81 years old, and your primary political cause in life is supporting Israel to the point where you are the largest single donor to the IDF, and you see this polling unraveling for support for Israel, especially among young people, what do you want to spend your unlimited wealth on? Buying up all the media companies and the social media platforms that shape how young people think, and putting people like Bari Weiss, who are just, slightly updated vessels for your agenda, as the face of it to make it seem less stodgy and more interesting.
Yep, that's it. That's what Bari Weiss is. She's an update. She's just establishment propaganda 2.0, which, it's not surprising to me that she coined the phrase intellectual dark web to, promote other people like herself, whose mission in life is to use culture war distractions to cover up this essentially military industrial complex Zionist agenda and put a new tech bro paint job over it. That's what she is. That's what John McWhorter is. That's what Coleman Hughes is. That's what the trigonometry guys are. They are the same exact old neocon douchebags with a brand new paint job. And another really good point he makes in that segment, as far as the anti-woke stuff goes, first of all, the whole government is anti-woke now. Where is that left? On Blue Sky? So the idea that that's a challenge to the establishment is absolutely ridiculous. How did she advance the way that she did? Because she's Ivy educated, lesbian. She made it acceptable for suburban wine moms to yell at their purple-haired kids who were calling them transphobes. Right? She gave some aid and comfort to people like that. That's why they were able to put her as the head of CBS. They couldn't grab Tommy Lahren, right? They can't get someone like that. She codes as an East Coast liberal elite while pushing this neocon agenda and these culture war talking points that now are really establishment talking points. And really that's just a reversion to the mean in terms of the cultural positions she's pushing. But the idea promoted by most visibly by Matt Taibbi that this is a story about the independent media, David knocking out the big corporate media Goliath, that is absolutely ridiculous. And that is what we covered in those segments. This is why, if you don't want to talk about Israel, you should probably just shut the fuck up and retire. Because as Glenn lays out here, you can't understand this story without Israel. This story is completely out of context if you don't put it in the context of the fact that this is somebody who has been a deranged and fanatical proponent of the Zionist project, at least since college and probably before, but that's when she first broke into awareness doing that in college.
Well, the irony, not to pick on Matt too much, but he put out an article about Jimmy Kimmel and how, the FCC should not have basically censored Jimmy Kimmel because it would be more satisfying to watch the legacy media implode on its own rather than, under the weight of government censorship. And, the irony of that is that this is an example of the legacy media imploding on its own. They may not think that way now, but they are not going to be able to, no matter how many platforms they buy up, and no matter how much they censor content from users who don't toe the party line, or no matter how much they promote people who do toe the party line, they are never going to be able to change people's minds about Israel, which is clearly what the point of this is. It's what the TikTok purchase is. It's what the merger was all about. It's what this Bari Weiss hiring is, paying her way, way, way above market value. The most generous interpretation, you would say it's double the market value, right? And it's probably more than that. They're not going to be able to make this line the party line for much longer. In other words, this is them making themselves irrelevant. he owns what, 1/6 of the media at this point. I mean, he is now the new, they called Howard Stern the king of all media. That is Larry Ellison. Now, it's not going to make a lick of a difference. Like, people will find a way to communicate with each other. Content will find a way out into the world, and people's opinions are going to be swayed by what they see with their own eyes. So unless you literally disappear the truth from people's screens, which they will try and do, then there's no way to turn this around. And despite Larry Ellison's best efforts, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. They are going to make themselves less relevant than ever before as a result of this. That is what I think will happen.
And this is a great irony of this. Look, I just started, in preparation for my trip, I started playing around with VPNs because I'm going to need one when I go over there. That's what's going to happen. Like, if you wind up creating what is in essence an American firewall, people are going to wind up just getting VPNs, using servers from overseas, and people are going to take advantage of the tremendous market opportunity you're giving to any competitor that's going to do that kind of reporting and that kind of news. People will just start bypassing American media. That is the groundwork that you're laying with moves like this. If American media becomes just very transparently state media, especially younger people, they're just going to go around it, man. They're just going to go somewhere else for their news. And you're going to see overseas outlets being built up to respond to that market demand.
Yes. Yeah. So ultimately, I think this is going to end up being a cell phone. But, look, they've got virtually infinite capital at their disposal, and they're not just going to give up without a fight. And this is I would argue, a last gasp of a dying narrative management machine. And, one of the many, many ironies of the Trump era is that so many people, when they voted for Trump and when Trump won, thought that they had dealt this blow to establishment media and establishment narratives. They really haven't. I mean, on certain issues that they use as pawns to control people with, right? But big picture, they're doubling down in a way that they have never done. This is consolidation of media and management of narrative at a scale we have never seen before. We have never seen, because capital had not consolidated to the point where this was possible until now. And there hasn't been an urgent need from it from their perspective until now. So this is their last push. But unfortunately, people still have brains. And to the extent that they are willing to use them, they will see through this. And yes, a lot of people are going to just work around it because they're going to have no choice to. It's a necessity. Like, you're not going to force people into reconsidering their opinion of a crazed genocidal apartheid state. It's just not going to happen, no matter how hard they try.
People are just, I would imagine, I mean, they are a publicly traded company, so they're going to have to release their numbers. I would imagine CBS News is going to lose a lot of its viewership, especially when they start putting out, as I think they inevitably will, just ridiculously blatant propaganda of the free press variety. Who the fuck's going to watch that?
Exactly.
Like you're lighting 60 Minutes and everything else on fire. Because as soon as 60 Minutes winds up doing a free press style expose of the weapons under the hospitals in Israel, that's it. Who's going to watch that? Who's going to trust that for information going forward?
Right. Exactly. Vienticus Prime says PSAC will licky. There you go. Thank you, Vienticus Prime. Does PSAC will licky lick Jen's PSAC? Good one. Good one. That's a good one, Vienticus Prime. I like that one. Does PSAC will licky lick Jen's PSAC? I like that. All right. Vienticus Prime says Russell is spinning. He's dizzy dobular. Ravid Laz been reading that Erica Kirk's actual name is Erica Honeypot Berg Zionstein. Yeah, thank you, Ravid Laz. Let's see here. Candace needs to hire an all-Chinese security team and tell them to protect her like they would protect Chairman Mao. Furrows Queen says, just to put that last message into context, it's my and Putin's birthday today, and I bit through my tongue at lunch, but I meant it's only a tongue. There are far worse things. Obviously, Rumble sucks. Oh, happy birthday, Furrows Queen. Happy birthday to
happy
Furrows Queen
birthday.
Fire Dancer. Thanks for spending some of your birthday with us. Hope it's a good one. Mark Puglisi says, dude, that miracle shot in the neck, does that seem scripted to you? Well, I think it was an exit wound of some kind. That's what it seems to me. Yeah. Fun facts. Bari Weiss is Barry White in German. Yes, I know that as a Weiss myself. Thank you, Stoop Sign.
Yeah, you want another fun fact? That is the only one of his cousins Keaton hasn't fucked.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's too much for him.
Too much. Cash Patel is Dumbledore. He'll fix Russ's software. Good one. Camilo Chavez. Candace unironically believes Sigmund Freud and public education are the source of all current evil. I like her on Kirk, but she's crazy. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure her politics are generally not my politics, but I hadn't even paid much attention to her until, she started criticizing Israel. Keaton Tracy over here. Love you guys. Thank you. Rob Boss, appreciate that. I'm with Rush. He's the worst actor I've ever seen, except Gal Gadot, maybe, and not credible. Thanks, Auntie Anne. William Ellick says, I appreciate how you guys disagree and give us the opportunity to think for ourselves. Great work. The biased echo chamber channels are gross and evil. Thank you, William. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Peter Monahan says, on the 17th, I will share the amazing good news I got today. Oh, you got good news today? Well, that's wonderful, Peter.
Oh,
Thank
good.
you for that. That's excellent. Great to hear that, Peter. Thank you so much for the update, and please do keep in touch. Okay. All right. So, folks, it is, as we've mentioned before, Ice Week. Ice Week on Due Dissidence. That's right. So I have 3 more ice pieces, but we've already been on for 2 hours, so I don't know if I'll do all 3 today because Russ has another good one. So we'll see what we get through, and what we don't get through, we'll get to Thursday. Why? Because it's Ice Week. We're going to have ice programming all week. That's right. Okay.
It's like Shark Week. Only with unemployed racists.
Yeah, only the sharks are, AA rejects who prowl the streets in camouflage. That's right. All right. So on our last show, we talked about ICE in Chicago, but of course, ICE is also in Portland. And so here is freedomnews.tv's Olia Scootercaster. Please do give her a follow. She's great. Breaking massive amount.
That's the best name in the business.
Yeah, that's a great name. That's a great name for like a roving indie journalist, right?
That's awesome.
Massive amount of tear gas and smoke bombs released on Portland anti-ICE protesters outside the detention center.
What is your problem? It's all on video. Everyone will see it peaceful. Why did you just get that directly at you? You're kind of a dick.
It's a scene out there. You get the picture. So this was one of the viral videos from the scene at Portland. Portland ICE agent jumps into a brawl to pepper spray a frog in the ass. That's right. You saw that. You saw that. You read that correctly. I read that correctly. Here it is.
Otherwise known as Tuesday Night at Epstein's.
Yeah, Tuesday at Epstein's. That's right. So you see where they spray him there. I mean, it looks funny. They spray him in the ass, but they spray him in where the air intake valve is. Right. And so if you look here, dispatches and drama from Seattle. I agree with the proposed community note, by the way. So there was a proposed community note on that post. It's the air intake valve. This could have been really dangerous. It's an unfortunate feature of community notes, though, that if a note gets approved for adding more context, just having a community note limits the reach of the post, even if the post wasn't wrong. So he kind of had a clever workaround for that by screenshotting the proposed note. But no, that's not a real frog and not a real frog's ass. That's the air intake valve. It's worth pointing out for the record that it looks like the whole thing started because of the DHS agents instigating things for no reason. So as we showed you on Sunday, outside of the Broadview, Illinois ICE facility, they tend to come out in a military-style formation and walk to push the protesters back, but they do seem to initiate contact with the protesters, grabbing at them, shooting little paintballs at them, and this seems to be a very similar type situation here. So agents leave the building. As is the usual practice, protesters talk at them while walking backwards. At 14 seconds, a protester is clearly still walking when the agent lunges forward and shoves them to the ground. So let's take a look at how this unfolds leading up to the pepper spray in the ass incident.
40% domestic violence, you guys also kill yourselves too. So you beat your wife and children and then you kill yourself. If you quit your job, then you can go
Yeah, see, like that did not seem at all necessary. It seemed like they're walking back, the people are walking back, and they just lunged at them. Moving back.
They're hiring the best and the brightest over there.
Like she's walking back.
Right.
I don't even think these are ICE. I think this is just like the CBP police.
Yeah. I know.
No reason for that whatsoever. That she was not even like refusing to move. She was walking backwards.
We're back.
We're moving back.
Why are you pushing somebody? You dumb fat bitch. Take off your badge and be a man about it. What the fuck was that?
See, there they go again. Look, like they're gonna move back when you move them back. So when the cops move forward, they move back. If the cop is just standing there, then the protesters going to assume, all right, they're holding the line there, and I'm good where I'm standing.
Yeah.
So they stop. So first they come out, they lunge at her, they knock her over. Then they stop. They don't keep moving forward. They just stop, and they give them some lip for just knocking them over to the ground, and then they. And now there's
the blue hair is real tough, man. You need 3 cops.
And then the frog comes over and they pepper spray the frog.
Oh,
so
you could kill somebody that way.
Yeah, I mean sure.
Spraying the mace into a closed suit like that.
Yeah, exactly. So just like I said in the last video that we showed, I mean, this is clearly meant to not only intimidate people, but to provoke the kind of unrest that is then a pretext for a further crackdown, right? I mean, that seems pretty obviously what this is. Now, the frog incident went viral because it is peculiar to have a guy in a frog costume out there. So Andy Ngo, this is a right-wing handle. Now, I want to be clear because I have not verified this. He seems to be the one reporting on this, but it seems to be going out there. He says that this man in the frog costume is actually like a dangerous guy who's, has criminal charges pending because of direct violent threats that he has made to people. And I haven't shown what those threats are because I do not trust YouTube to make a distinction between us reading them and us making them. I don't trust Pam Bondi either, quite frankly. So I don't even want to show them. But he sets this up. You may have seen a Portland Antifa rioter dressed in a cartoonish frog costume at the Portland anti-ICE riots. The man in that is a trans person named Seth D. Todd. Seth Todd is an Antifa anti-government violent extremist who uses the costume to make his comrades look less threatening on videos and photos, but he urges killings and murders, including calling for those who work for the U.S. government to be, I won't even read that on the screen, you see it. He identifies himself as a terrorist. Mr. Todd has an open federal case in Portland stemming from a criminal citation on July 8th. He is not barred from being outside the ICE facility. He is regularly there where he tries to help his comrades escape arrest. Okay, so if this is true, then that makes this even worse. It just makes my strategy of tension theory that this is all sort of being done to provoke bad actors into acting badly. If this is true, what you're saying is true, and like I said, I don't know that it is. We're taking this guy's word for it. He's got a big account. This has gone far and wide. If this is true, why is the guy out on the street? You're telling me those cops who can't wait to arrest people, who threaten people seemingly within seconds of every interaction. They say, we'll arrest you if you don't do this. We'll arrest you if you do. If this guy is a known criminal who's out threatening people, you're telling me, and he's pretty easy to spot, guy in a giant frog costume. It's not exactly like he blends into the crowd. You're telling me those officers wouldn't arrest him? Why is he allowed out there? Like, why? Like, why, if this is not all designed to create maximum tension, would this guy be allowed out? You go and you pepper spray him, but that's it. You leave him alone. You don't put him in handcuffs. No, I don't. I don't buy this.
They want him to do some shit.
Right? Do they want him to do
especially
some
a trans guy?
Yeah, like, are you out there because
Christmas
they want you to do something? Like, are they because why on earth, if it's known that this guy has charges pending and he's out provoking the police, which according to that video looked like he was just coming over to see what was going on, but they would consider that a provocation. Why would they not arrest this person? Why is this person out? Why is because this is classic Portland shit. This is another thing. Like, they're choosing to target hotbeds of progressive activism where they know these eccentric personalities are going to come out and make a scene so that they can frame this mass deportation fight as one between, you know, the hard hat law and order Americans versus the crazy, you know, pink hair, you know, tattooed, nose rings, you know, Portlandia weirdos. That seems to be what this is. Though Seth Todd is an open federal criminal case, he still goes regularly to the anti-government right. Why? Why isn't he like, if this is all true about this person and known, and he's on the government's radar, why is he allowed out there? Now, if it's not true, then I don't know if it's true or not. So this is the point. This cannot be over repeated. What's happening in Portland and Chicago is bait. Yes. Do not take the damn bait. As ugly and vile as it is, you cannot respond with violence. And where the hell are Democratic leaders? Why aren't they coming out to lead and say this themselves? Exactly. If what the reporter is saying about this frog guy is true, that is hard evidence of what I'm talking about. And I think this is all bait. I think this is all provocation. Stephen Miller has been tweeting like crazy about this.
Yeah.
This is domestic terrorism and seditious insurrection. This is in response to one of the Broadview, Illinois incidents. But this is an Illinois lawmaker who says Stephen Miller is trying to provoke people into responding to the government's unlawful use of force because he wants his own Reichstag fire. This is an old and very dangerous playbook. Take video, resist peacefully, but don't give the fascists what they want. Exactly. Abraham Lincoln famously said that in this country, public sentiment is everything. With it, nothing can fail. Against it, nothing can succeed. The crimes they are committing are horrific, but keep that public sentiment in mind. Neither their agenda nor their MO is popular. And please be safe. These are immature, irresponsible children who are quick to anger and are backed into a corner with their deadly toys. This is a dangerous moment. Let's get through it together so we can accelerate accountability on the back end. Yeah, I agree with that. And just to give you a sense of what I'm talking about here, about how I think this is all spectacle intended to provoke further spectacle, if you know what I mean. If you take a look at where illegal immigrants are concentrated, Pew Research Center estimates the majority of unauthorized immigrants live in a few metropolitan areas, with the largest populations in New York and Los Angeles, followed by which three? Houston, Dallas, Fort Worth, and Austin. These areas accounted for most of the unauthorized immigrant population in 2016, though the national decline of this population over the decade means the numbers are now higher. So if you look, the estimates are still that, yes, New York and LA, number 1 and 2, They did L.A. They're going to do New York once Zohran Mamdani. That's what I think they're waiting for Zohran
Yeah,
to win.
I think that's a good theory.
Because
Yeah.
he's the perfect foil for Trump.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, now that they elected the communists, we have to go in. Right.
Right.
But you look at these three cities in Texas, of course, Texas is a major hotbed of illegal immigration. Texas had approximately 2.1 million undocumented immigrants as of 2023. Second largest population in the United States after California. So if the state of Texas has 2 million undocumented immigrants, then you have to ask yourself, if this is really about removing undocumented immigrants, why aren't we seeing these spectacles in Texas? It's because these spectacles aren't about removing immigrants. These spectacles are about creating spectacles. It's about executing a strategy of tension. It is about allowing the government to frame this issue as one of the regular God-fearing folk versus the crazy, wokey, militant Antifa people. And also, it is a way of normalizing this kind of policing, normalizing this method of interaction between the state and the individual. And if you need a prior example of this, you just look back to the Obama era coming out of the Bush era when he was expected to undo so much of the war on terror shit, and he undid none of it. He expanded all of it. Why? Because it had become normalized. It had become normalized to the point where there was no longer the pressure on him to undo it. Right? There wasn't he promised he was going to close Guantanamo Bay. Were there marches in the streets about closing Guantanamo Bay? No, there were not. Because while if you ask a liberal, would you rather Guantanamo Bay be open or closed? They'll say closed, but it had been open for 7 years. It had become normalized. The Patriot Act had become normalized. The NDAA had become normalized. And so what we're seeing in these cities is in order to provoke responses from the frog people and the blue-haired people to normalize this level of engagement between the state and the individual. I won't even say the police, because we're moving beyond policing. I mean, these are military type exercises that they're doing in these cities. And I believe that what the government is trying to do now is normalize this to the point where whatever happens in 2028, whether there is an election or not, and whoever wins it, this will just become the new norm. This, coupled with the kind of surveillance that they're building out, it's a very, very scary time. It's a very scary time. And I think the only way out of it is to resist peacefully and appeal to the judgment of the ordinary person to ask, do we want this? Do we want this? Because I do believe at the end of the day, that Lincoln quote is right, that you need public sentiment on your side at the end of the day. And that's not to say that there won't be a lot of strife between now and then. But the only light at the end of the tunnel is for everybody to see what we're being slow marched into. And that includes, by the way, politicians on both sides. I just gave you the example of Barack Obama being elected with this mandate to change things. He changed nothing, didn't have to, because people had gotten used to it by the time he got there. That's what they're trying to do now on an even more dystopian scale.
Yeah, well, what were the Democrats doing during their tenures under Obama? What happened? They sent out the police to crack the skulls of Occupy Wall Street.
Right.
Standing Rock. What was that? With the peaceful protesters getting sprayed down with fire hoses in sub-freezing temperatures. That was under Obama. What happened under Biden? This whole crackdown on the student protesters was under a Democrat. It was under Biden. What do you think is going to happen? They get into office, Trump has normalized this, all of a sudden they're going to denormalize it? Nah, man. When these people have power, they love having those tools. They love that this has been normalized. What people who like what Trump is doing aren't thinking about is, can you imagine what a woke president is going to do with these fucking powers? Can you imagine what they're going to do to you? What they're going to do to conservatives now that you've let this genie out of the bottle? They're not thinking about that. Now, maybe they're right. Maybe they're right not to think about it. Maybe we've seen the last legitimate election in this country and they're just not going to cede power. That's entirely possible. That is entirely possible. But if anyone's thinking, oh, the good Democrats are going to come back and undo all this and give up their access to these tools that Trump has put into place for mass surveillance and mass suppression of the population, you got another thing coming. That's why I always reference, if anyone wants to see it, it's on YouTube. Oliver Stone produced a show, Jim Belushi, called Wild Palms. And the thing that was most striking to me about that show was that you would just have these tinted window SUVs pull up and grab people off the street in suburbs while people are walking their dogs. And you could tell that had been normalized. Like people would just keep walking their dogs. They wouldn't do anything about it. That's the future, man. That's the future. That's why it struck me when I saw it, because it seemed completely plausible. That seemed like something that, yeah, you could normalize it if you do it enough. Yeah, you have to remember, man, the kind of people who are being shown there, the kind of people in the suburbs, they always assume that the black bag jobs are not coming for them. And for the most part, they're right.
Right. Well, yes. Yes. And this is, like I said, we already tested this theory where you had the Patriot Act ushered in under George Bush and Barack Obama elected as a rebuke of that. And what changed? Nothing.
Right.
It got worse.
Right.
And nobody really cared that it got worse, because by the time Obama came, it was back of mind. Right. Yeah. If you take a poll, sure. Yeah. Guantanamo, terrible. Who cared? Nobody cared.
Right.
Nobody cared.
The base of wealthy suburban libs that support a figure like Obama, they're not out protesting with Occupy Wall Street. They don't give a shit about Standing Rock.
Right.
They love to virtue signal off Native Americans, but they're not going to actually support them.
Right. Exactly. All right. So, folks, I'm going to put the scroll up here on the screen. This is our members scroll. We want to shout out our members for supporting us. If you'd like to become a member yourself, please go to dudissidents.com/Patreon/Substack or /locals. All three member platforms offer the same perks. You get movie club live streams. You get post-game live streams. You also get a replay of every live stream emailed to you the day after it airs publicly, free of commercials. So that comes the day after every public show. People take advantage of that feature. People like that feature quite a bit. You also get your name up in lights here on the show scroll. And not only that, but you get an end credit to our upcoming Uhuru documentary when it is released. We put our patrons in the end credits of all of our film projects. So all that for just $5 a month, that you can go to dudissidents.com/Patreon/Substack or /locals. You guys are the backbone of the show. We could not do this without you. So thank you all very much for your continued supports. Vienticus Prime says heroic, I thought it said heroin, but then no, heroic actions of the IDF on October 7th. That's like play of the game, being the guy who tackled his own teammate. Do you know what the Hannibal directive is, right? Yeah, exactly. Bari Weiss probably shoves the whole fortune cookie in her mouth and eats the fortune too. Thank you. Vinegaroon, the new CEO and chairman of the board of TPUSA, is Eric Kirk. Yes, that's true. Bari Weiss is aggressively mediocre at being aggressively mediocre. Yes, indeed. The Anticus Prime. I realized school was garbage way back in 3rd grade and decided to focus more on teaching myself while ignoring grades. I later taught the same philosophy to my students. Oh, you're a philosophy teacher. All right. Well, that makes a lot of sense. Isn't Andy Go the guy who basically Elon Musk's butt buddy and is promoted by Musk a lot? I think that's the propagandist I'm thinking of. I think it sounds fucked up to say, but I think that might be Ian Miles Chong. I get them confused too. I'm not ashamed to say it. You know, I'm a human being. What can I say? It's a false frog, and we can't leap to conclusions. Nocturnal Human coming in with the dad joke there. EO shush, with Gen Z and millennials not going out anymore, it left a lot of unemployed nightclub bouncers, so they had no other choice but to join ICE. Thank you, EO shush. Appreciate that. All right, let me just get rid of these. All right, how many more we got here? Okay. got almost all those squared away. Race car says, I know how the bullet magically stopped. You probably got what is that?
Adamantium.
Adamantium
It's
bone
a
marrow
geek thing.
transplant like Wolverine. That stuff is tough, man. All right, there you go. Well, Russell got it. Thanks, race car. Appreciate that very much. Jolly Man Big Boy, Schmooly products sold to those visiting the wall. Thank you, Jolly
They
Man
need the
Big Boy.
lube before they fuck that wall, man.
That's right.
Gotta
That's
lube
right.
that wall up.
Exactly.
I heard Barry scissored that wall.
Yeah, she climbs to the top and then scissors the wall. Exactly. All right. Why don't we do Ghislaine, and then we'll see if we got time for one more Ice Week story. If not, we'll do it next time.
Okie doke. So Ghislaine Maxwell is going to have to spend a little more time at Club Fed. Supreme Court rejects Epstein associate Ghislaine Maxwell's appeal. This is from Axios. The Supreme Court on Monday rejected Jeffrey Epstein associate Ghislaine Maxwell's appeal to overturn her conviction for transporting minors, we'll say. The big picture, Maxwell, who was sentenced to 20 years in federal prison in 2022, had sought to overturn her conviction on the grounds that she was unlawfully prosecuted. The court, on the first day of its new term, declined to take up the case. They provided no explanation, as is custom. Quote, we're of course deeply disappointed that the Supreme Court declined to hear Ghislaine Maxwell's case, and now we're going to have to release the numerous videos we have of the president with underage girls. David Oscar Marxist, Maxwell's attorney, he didn't say that last part, said in a statement provided to Axios, but this fight isn't over. Serious legal and factual issues remain, he said, and we will continue to pursue every avenue available to ensure that justice is done. The family of the late Virginia Giuffre, or is it it's Giuffre, right?
Giuffre, right, yeah.
Applauded the high court's decision. Quote, we are committed to ensuring that convicted child transporter Maxwell serves out the entirety of her 20-year sentence in prison where she belongs, they said in a statement. Survivor Jess Michaels described the Supreme Court's rejection as a, quote, desperately needed reminder that convicted fans of the playground belong behind bars in a statement provided to Axios. Quote, given the current political climate, I'm pleasantly surprised to see the safety of children finally prioritized over protection of powerful abusers, she added. I wonder who she could be talking about there. Maxwell's appeal to the high court revolved around a highly controversial 2007 non-prosecution agreement Epstein negotiated with the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Southern District of Florida. The agreement stated that the U.S., quote, agrees that it will not institute any criminal charges against any potential co-conspirators of Epstein, including but not limited to 4 other suspects. Maxwell was not listed as one of those suspects, but her lawyers argued she didn't need to be. The Justice Department, meanwhile, argued that the former U.S. attorney who negotiated the deal didn't have authority to bind other federal districts, including the Southern District of New York, where Maxwell was ultimately tried and convicted. In July, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche met with Maxwell across 2 days of interviews. Maxwell, according to transcripts released the following month by the DOJ, told him she never witnessed the president in any inappropriate setting in any way. She also said she didn't believe Epstein died by self-deletion, as the FBI and DOJ concluded. Soon after her meeting with Blanche, Maxwell was moved to a minimum security prison for women in Texas, sparking outrage from victims and their families. In their statement shared Monday, Giuffre's family said they, quote, remain hopeful that the DOJ will realize that Maxwell belongs in a maximum security prison, not the country club one she is currently in. Which, by the way, we covered this at the time. That is against the law. People with Maxwell's charges are not eligible to be moved to the kind of facility that she's in now. So was that a payoff? Well, we'll take a little refresher of what she said in those interviews. So this was Trump being asked about the SCOTUS decision.
Mr. President's term today, Mr. President.
Say it.
The Supreme Court is back, and
Yeah.
they rejected today an appeal by Ghislaine Maxwell to overturn her conviction. That means her only chance of getting out of prison is a pardon from you. Is that something you're?
Who are we talking about?
Ghislaine Maxwell.
Never heard of
I
her.
haven't heard the name in so long. I can say this, that I'd have to take a look at it. I would have to take a look. Did they reject that?
She wanted to appeal her conviction.
And what
They
happened?
said that they were not going to hear her appeal.
I see. Well, I'll take a look at it. I will speak to the DOJ. I wouldn't consider it or not consider it. I don't know anything about it. So, but I will speak to the DOJ.
Why would she be a candidate for clemency, sir?
I don't know. I mean, I'd have to speak to the DOJ. I'll look at it. I have a lot of people have asked me for pardons. I call him Puff Daddy has asked me for a pardon.
But she was convicted of child sex trafficking.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to have to take a look at it. I'd have to ask DOJ. I didn't know they rejected it. I didn't know she was even asking for it, frankly.
Now look how different the way he talks about this wealthy, convicted fan of the playground and transporter of children. Look at the way he talks about her compared to the way he talked about Abrego Garcia, right? No evidence. You're muted. No evidence, no prosecution, no nothing. He's not a barrel event, right? Look at the way he talks about.
Yeah.
I have to. He's so. I have to look at. I haven't. Who? Ghislaine Maxwell. Oh, I seem to remember Ghislaine Maxwell. Who is that again? Remind me. Oh, I don't know. I have to look at it. Yeah, they haven't talked. Wow.
Yeah, not just Abrego Garcia, about everybody else, everybody. Like, look at how. Like, I wish he were as nice to everybody as he is to Ghislaine Maxwell.
I wish her well.
Yeah, like he's a puppy dog to Ghislaine Maxwell and as belligerent a prick as you could imagine to everybody else. Everybody else.
Yeah,
she's
no,
the
nothing
only
to
one.
see there.
Yeah,
Nothing to
no.
see.
She's like, well, who? What's that? Oh, I haven't heard the name in so long. And what was said about that? Okay, well, I'll have to think about it. Completely different person when talking about Ghislaine fucking Maxwell. Always a completely different person when talking about her.
Yep.
All of a sudden, he's the nicest, most patient. Well, I'm gonna have to wait and see what the evidence. Yeah, no, Abrego Garcia. Did you see the tattoos on his head? Everybody else. There is a horrible person, terrible.
Yeah.
Her.
Yeah. Convicted trafficker. As I have to look into. Who is that again?
If only he loved Americans as much as he loves Ghislaine Maxwell. Then we'd have a great president.
Then we would have an amazing country.
Yeah.
So, they talk a lot about how the Democratic Party is overrun with the elderly, but I guess not on the oversight committee, because you could tell they're younger because they keep talking about Epstein. They're all too young to have been on that island. Now that the Supreme Court has rejected Ghislaine Maxwell's appeal, it's time for her to testify in front of the Oversight Committee. We must end Trump's cover-up of the Epstein case. So ranking member Robert Garcia put out a statement. Maxwell helped lead the Epstein trafficking ring and was directly involved in the abuse of women and children. The Trump administration's ongoing effort to pressure Maxwell into aiding their cover-up, including arranging an interview with Donald Trump's former attorney, Todd Blanche, is outrageous and shameful. Maxwell has been subpoenaed by the Oversight Committee and must now answer our questions truthfully. It is time to end the White House cover-up of the Epstein case. Survivors deserve justice, and the American people deserve the truth. I bet Trump supporters didn't think this was what they were voting for. The Democrats having the high ground on accusing the Trump administration of covering up for Epstein. Wow, that wasn't on their bingo card. So to remind you here, this was Anyone Wants Chips from a few months back when Maxwell was interviewed by Blanche. When the attorney representing roughly 20 Epstein victims asked to be included in the highly inappropriate meetings between Todd Blanche and Ghislaine Maxwell, was barred from attending, Blanche is acting as Trump's lawyer. not the U.S. Deputy AG. He was Trump's lawyer, and they wouldn't let, this is highly unusual, this is not normal practice, would not let any representatives of the victims be in the room during the interview. Now, they did release transcripts, but of course, if you had had representatives of the plaintiffs, they would have asked much harder questions. They would have done follow-ups that Todd Blanche is not going to do, because clearly this looks like a cover-up. So here's a little bit of the interview.
I certainly never witnessed the president in any of, I don't recall ever seeing him in his house, for instance. I actually never saw the president in any type of massage setting. I never witnessed the president in any inappropriate setting in any way. The president was never inappropriate with anybody. In the times that I was with him, he was a gentleman in all respects.
See, that's how you get moved to minimum security. That's how you set yourself up for a pardon. Yeah, no, never anything inappropriate. There's Donald Trump with alleged former sex worker Melania Trump, Jeffrey Epstein, and Ghislaine Maxwell. And there's his little note from the birthday card, waxing poetic about the wonderful secret he shares with Jeffrey Epstein. I guess that was a stock tip. That was about a stock tip. He gave him a good stock tip on Exxon. So here, very recently, and this tells you a lot. So Lutnick was Epstein's next door neighbor. What he says here in this interview really shows you that people like Lutnick, like Thiel, like Ellison, they're the presidents of the United States. Donald Trump is their piss boy. He's a fucking janitor for them. They don't care what happens to him. He's not running the country. They are. So Lutnick says very frankly, oh yeah, man, a lot of people are blackmailed.
That's an incredible story that you could pick up that he was a pervert.
It's gross. The guy's gross. Right with my wife. And he's gross. The guy's gross. This was not, the deep nuance of Howard Lutnick. This guy's gross.
Right. So how come Bill Gates and all these other people could hang around him and not see what you saw? Or did they see it and ignore it? Or
no, they participated.
Right.
That's what his MO was.
So you mean he had a list?
Massage,
That's kind of what you're saying?
What happened in that massage room, I assume, was on video. This guy was the greatest blackmailer ever. Blackmail people. That's how he had money.
So what happened to those videos? Why is there now such a dearth of information when, Donald Trump's people are running the FBI and the DOJ?
I assume way back when they traded those videos in exchange for him getting that 18-month sentence, which allowed him to have visits, be out of jail. I mean, he's a serial sex offender.
So they're gone.
How could he get
we can't get it.
months and be able to go to his office during the day and have visitors and stuff? It must have been a trade. So my assumption, I have no knowledge, but my assumption is there was a trade for the videos because there were people on those videos.
And have you talked to Donald Trump about this and shared your theory?
No, I mean, he knows the story.
Right.
Yeah, he told me it's a Democrat hoax and to shut my Jew mouth. That's what he told me. So, he's the boss.
But my story, that, I was the one and done with the guy. He knows that story, but that's it.
So thus saith the pig man, Howard Lutnick. And hey, there's no way he does not know how this reflects on Donald Trump and his administration. That's how little of a fuck a guy like Howard Lutnick gives about Donald Trump, because he's bigger than this administration. The money he has, the influence he has, the power he has, doesn't matter if the administration goes down in flames in a blackmailing scandal. He'll be fine. He'll be fine. He'll suck up like a barnacle to whoever the next schmuck to occupy the Oval Office and pretend to be running the country is. Now, what he's saying there about blackmail, I mean, that doesn't that fit a lot the fact pattern of how sketchy this administration's behavior has been? So speaking of which, this just broke right before we came on. This is from today.
Yeah, this is
Pam
great.
Bondi being questioned by Dick Durbin.
With you is to read somebody that you mentioned. I quarrel with you is to read somebody that you mentioned I never heard of.
Reid Hoffman.
So who gave the order to flag records related to President Trump?
To flag records for President Trump?
To flag any records which included his name.
I'm not going to discuss anything about that with you, Senator.
Eventually, you're going to have to answer for your conduct in this. You won't do it today, but eventually you will. I yield, Mr. Chairman.
Wow.
Okay, so and that right there, man, you could see how Pam Bondi we've pointed this out quite a few times. Her default setting, she's really a one-trick pony. Moral outrage is just her default tone. Doesn't matter what she's talking about. If you confront her, she just projects that she's morally outraged by what you're saying.
Right.
It doesn't even matter if it makes sense. Why would you be morally outraged that he's asking you that question?
I'm not going
to.
Well, because you could tell in that case, like, she really was unprepared for that question. Like, she didn't expect him to go there. So then when he goes there, she does the standard, well, I have to bide for time by making him repeat the question. So that's this.
To flag records for President Trump?
To flag any records which included his name.
I'm not going to discuss anything about that.
And then she's like, okay, well, I'm clearly wasn't briefed on this, so I don't know what to say. So yeah, I'm just going to turn the grievance up to 11 and the substance back to 0.
That's it.
I'm not going to discuss
I'm not
any
discussing
of
that with
you.
anyone.
I have nothing to say. So yeah,
because it's immoral,
Yeah.
my tone suggests. I can't explain why, but it is.
It is. Activate Scarlett O'Hara with yeast infection mode, right? I'm not going to discuss that with you.
Why, I never.
Yeah, I would never. I would never. How
I have never
dare
been
you.
so insulted in all my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, to be clear, what he was asking is if she consulted with the White House about not releasing the Epstein files. So yeah, obviously this is a cover-up, and this is a big part, I believe, of why it's kind of an unexplored part of why Trump's approval numbers are in the toilet. You have your cultists who it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like I've literally seen some of these fucking pathetic brain dead morons saying, there's a big difference having sex consentingly with someone who's 17 than being a PDF file.
Yeah.
Okay, man, that's not most people, man. Anyone who's not a cultist, anyone who really did vote for Donald Trump with an expectation that he's going to do these things, who legitimately cared about them, they've walked away. They've walked away. The people who are left are the people who can watch Donald Trump go, Ghislaine who? Ghislaine, oh, really? And still support this presidency.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Those are the ones left. And this was a huge part of it. And I just got to say,
yep.
On the question of Ghislaine Maxwell, will he or won't he? I mean, I don't know, man. Like, I am divided. I am divided because that would be the funniest news story of the century if he pardons Ghislaine Maxwell. If after all of this, especially because, like, the Epstein talk was a staple of, like, MAGA media for 10 years. And after all that, you pardon Ghislaine Maxwell.
I think he's going to have to, because Lutnick, his speculation about what happened to the tapes aside, once the Mossad has those tapes, they ain't giving them up. Them up. Even if they tell you, okay, these are the only copies, they're lying. They have those copies. It explains the way Trump behaves in regards to Israel. Yeah, man, I think he's going to have to give her a pardon under threat.
Now, does she make him do it now? Or does she allow him to save face?
I think that's part of the agreement. They moved her to the minimum security.
She got to stay there for a couple years.
So she does easy time, and then he'll pardon her on the way out the door.
Yeah, because he can't do it now, right? No. I mean, it'll have to be like...
he can't while he's in office.
His 11th hour pardon, the way Biden pardoned his son,
that's where my money is, yes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in that case, you know, if Democrats are smart, they're gonna run on that because they're gonna say this guy's gonna pardon Ghislaine Maxwell out the door. So, do you really want to vote for J.D. Vance, knowing that Ghislaine Maxwell is gonna get a pardon? You can run against that preemptively. I mean, they can't stop him from doing it. But yeah, no, I mean, this tore their coalition apart like no other issue, and it still is. I mean, you're already seeing like people panicking, like even. Who was it? Was it Laura Loomer who sent out a panic tweet? Do not pardon her. That'll be the end of your presidency. See, like you can't do this. And for that reason, I think it probably is party arrangement that he won't do it now. Yeah. But eventually, that is going to be quite something. That'll be quite the thing to see. All right. We got Breakup Google says if you're going to bring up VPNs, make sure people know that Isn't Real owns many of these companies like NordVPN and do not use them. Mint Press.
You know what, man? I signed up for NordVPN. I canceled it in less than 24 hours. I'm going to try Surfshark. What about Surfshark?
Did you find out they were Israeli owned? Or was it just not doing what you needed it to do?
Well, it sucked. And then subsequently, I was researching what else I could use, and that came up when I was looking
Oh, interesting. All right. Interesting. Because I know that's a popular one.
Well, it's the most popular one.
Yeah. Vienticus Prime, when Democrats and Republicans try and point the way to the way each other was educated, just remember they were all educated under the same liberal class, worker class curriculum mindset established 100 years ago. Thank you, Vienticus Prime. Appreciate that. RDW says, always dig your insights, both of you. Articulation and clarity is key. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Yeah, this show just flew by. Maybe it's because of that technical hiccup that probably slowed us down without it realizing it. You're right. It's Ian Miles Chong. Yeah, I get them confused too because they're both right-wing Asians. It's natural. Sorry. Like, hey, look, I'm a human being. I'm allowed to
Fucking stereotyping.
Yeah, I mean, just saying. Like, I don't do it on purpose, but I do confuse them because they're two, right-wing Asians. So I get them confused sometimes. There aren't that many right-wing Asians on X. If there were only 2 right-wing white people on X, I'd get them confused too.
Yeah, sure.
But there's a lot of right-wing white people on X. Right, so don't come for me. I'm a human being. I'm flawed. I admit it. And actually, I've taught a few things, but never specifically philosophy. Yet it was always something I used to at least try and inspire autodidactism. Yes, that is a good skill to inspire for sure. Unfortunately, my best student was always the wall. All right. Thank you, Vienticus Prime. Appreciate that. Camilo Chavez.
Yeah, Surfshark's Israeli.
That is too. Wow.
I'm gonna have to look into this.
Yeah, that could be tough. Well, you're not streaming from China anyway, so that makes it a little.
Yeah, but I think you need one in Vietnam too.
That's right. I forgot about that. You're going to Vietnam. I thought it was just Thailand and China, but no, Vietnam. Well, you're going to Laos and Cambodia too, right?
Yep.
Rob Boss, you and Glenn make Breaking Points unwatchable. Thank you, Rob Boss. Appreciate that. All right, we got a couple more Rumble rants in here. All right, we got time for one more ICE story, folks, because it is, of course, ICE week. All right, this is a short one. So obviously ICE is in Chicago and Portland now, most notably, but they're all around the country. And this is a terrible video that went pretty viral here. Long time, first time, has been doing a great job aggregating all of these ICE videos. ICE stops family at gunpoint, smash car window on top of newborn baby. I was screaming that there was a baby, but they didn't care, cried the mother. Covered my baby with my body, so scared he was going to be hurt because glass was landing on him. She's heard repeatedly asking to see the signed warrant. Agently flippantly replies, it's at the office. So they go out without the warrant on them, and they just rush up on this family and start smashing in the windows. This is in Colorado.
What is he being pulled over for? What is he being pulled over for? There's a child! There's a baby!
Fucking sick motherfuckers. Man.
So they apparently have paperwork
Jesus.
at the office. They don't take that with them. No, they just roll up on them and said, "Get out of the car," and start smashing the windows.
I need my baby, bro. I need my baby, bro. Open the door. I need my baby, bro. There's a baby. I need my baby, bro. There's a baby. Can you guys have a little bit mercy, dude? He has a 1-month-old. He has a 1-month-old. I don't know, bro. Hey. Yes, okay. Hey, it's somebody's baby, bro. Baby, bro. Yo. Martín, aquí estamos en el fire stop. Tranquilo, Martín, tranquila. Okay, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. Oh, motherfucker. Can I ask why he's being detained? Can I ask why he's being detained? Can I ask why he's being detained? He has an immigration warrant. He has an immigration. Can I see the warrant signed? Can I see the warrant signed? Come to the office. No, I need to see the warrant. This is illegal. You guys do not have.
How could you not have the warrant with you? They clearly targeted this person, right? I mean, they clearly did. So what do you mean it's at the office?
Right.
Like this is what's so incredible about this. Okay, so Trump's numbers in terms of deportations lag behind Obama's. I think they even lag behind Biden's in terms of the number of deportations. So clearly, this is not the most efficient way to be doing this. This is why I say they're doing this for the sake of doing it this way. What do you mean you don't have the warrant with you? It's not like you just came across this guy. They clearly targeted him. They clearly had a few guys out here looking for him. So what do you mean the warrant's at the office? Don't you think the way to do this, the civilized way to do this, is to present the warrant to the person and ask it, isn't that the way to go about it? You just roll up on a camera, start pounding at the window, get out, get out, get out. They clearly don't speak much English. Like, to not bring the paperwork with you, isn't that going a long way toward guaranteeing a confrontation like this? Right. I would say it is.
This is not illegal. You guys have not shown us the fucking warrant. You can come by the office and see it. I want to see it right here.
I left it in the locker at the theater. I'm in town touring with January 6th, the musical. We're in the chorus of that production. That's what brought us into town. And, theater doesn't pay, so we figured we'd take a job with ICE while we're here.
Well, this is what law enforcement looks like when they know they have no accountability.
Right.
It's fine. I mean, we've been conditioned for decades with these movies about the heroic cops fighting the bureaucracy from Dirty Harry on down, right? I don't need a war. Oh, the way the criminals use the justice system. You just gotta cut through all the paperwork. Okay, man. Well, this is what that looks like in fucking reality, man.
Yep.
Exactly. It ain't Clint taking out the Zodiac killer. It's a bunch of fucking half-bright rednecks smashing in a window with a baby in a car.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to see it right here. You guys don't have the fucking warrant. Cover my back. You're stepping his phone. You're stepping on his phone. Give me his phone. No. Give me his phone. Give me his phone. I'm asking, give me his phone. I need to call his boss. Give me his phone.
It's unbelievable.
Can I have his stuff? No. You don't want his phone to call you? He literally just said, yeah. Okay. Can I have his stuff, though? Can I have his stuff? I need his stuff. He's going to need his stuff. I need his stuff. Well, then, we have a baby. After we process him, then we'll call you. He'll call you.
He'll call you after we process him. And they take him away. So this got a write-up in the Colorado Sun. There's a baby. ICE agents stop Alamosa family at gunpoint. Smash car window. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents pointed guns and then smashed the window of a car carrying a couple and their 1-month-old baby during an afternoon arrest in Alamosa last week. Video footage shows. The family was on their way home from Alamosa County Courthouse when 3 unmarked SUVs began to follow them, said Maya England, who was in the back seat with the infant. Baby could have died. Like, if you're 1 month old and you get cut with a shard of glass, that's pretty dangerous. England said the cars behind them turned on their sirens and flashed their lights, and the one in front of them began to swerve. England asked to see the warrant, and one of the agents said she could come to the office. The agents led Aguilera to an unmarked SUV. England followed the car carrying Aguilera to the nondescript ICE holding center on State Street, she said, but no one answered her pleas at the door. Aguilera called her from ICE's detention center in Aurora. England last heard from Aguilera on Monday evening. As of Tuesday evening, he no longer appeared on ICE's inmate locator website, and she did not know where he was. ICE is not allowed to arrest people who are going to or coming from a courthouse under a 2020 Colorado law. ICE did not immediately respond to questions about the arrest. So there you go. And this is an interesting, depressing statistic. According to an investigation by ProPublica, there have been at least 50 documented instances of immigration agents breaking vehicle windows in the first 6 months of President Donald Trump's term. Journalists found only 8 such incidents from the prior decade. So there you have something, right? Cruelty to immigrants has been normalized in this country, of course. But if you look at Barack Obama's deportation numbers and Joe Biden's deportation numbers, they're far outpacing Donald Trump's deportation numbers. But there were only 8 incidents of Border Patrol or ICE agents shattering car windows in a decade. 8 in the previous 10 years, and there have been 50 in 6 months. If that doesn't tell you that the spectacle is the point, that the point is to traumatize people like this. The point is to sow social division and social unrest, and to create violent protests, to invite authoritarian crackdown on all protests. Is so clearly what is going on. It's so clearly not about border enforcement or immigration enforcement. It's so clearly about intimidation. If you can deport millions of people without cracking windows, then why have there been 50? And this is not far from the first one of these that we've covered. And yet it keeps happening. It's pretty sick, terrible stuff. And what I've been saying, the past few weeks, because I know now there's a lot of breastbeating about people really don't like it when you call them fascists, right? That's so rude, so unbecoming. And by the way, people have a right to say what they think is true about a person. I've always rejected the notion that to call someone a fascist is to incite violence against them. No, I would strongly discourage as emphatically as possible laying a finger on any of these people, because you see what happens, right? So obviously, and then the whole previous segment we did about the imperative of staying peaceful, because they want you to get violent. They want you to overreact and create more chaos. That's the point of this. That's how they're going to take the society apart and then build it again in their image, which doesn't include any of us, quite frankly. So obviously, I would reject in no uncertain terms violence against people. But you want a mandate to do deportations. There's clearly a way to do deportations, not only in a more humane way, but in a more efficient way. The more humane way is the more efficient way. This undermines the goal of mass deportations for the purpose of creating spectacle. In other words, the inefficiency is the point, I believe. I believe that is part of the strategy of tension. They want this to be as hard as possible. That's what it looks like to me. Why else would you roll up on a car with no warrant? You have a warrant for the guy. You clearly have him. According to the article, he's going to his appointment. So you know where he is. You know you're going to try and apprehend him. Why, unless you wanted a problem, would you not have the paperwork with you? Why would you say it's at the office? Why? I'm sorry, that makes no sense. This looks like a deliberate effort to sow as much fucking fear and chaos as possible, not to deport as many people as possible as quickly as possible.
I think part of the purpose is also to give Trump's voters the illusion that they accomplished something.
Well, that too, yes,
because
that's
their
part of the theater
lives
as well.
are,
Yes,
yeah, their lives
100%.
are not being improved at all. So you have to distract them with this kind of bread and circuses. And also in terms of not bringing a warrant, I mean, I agree with you in terms of the overall strategy, but you get a bunch of idiots and people who couldn't pass a police exam, and you give them this kind of authority, they're gonna do shit like this.
That's true.
Like,
They're
you
gonna
don't
fuck
have
up
to
like
tell them, hey, don't bring a warrant. They're gonna do those things, especially when they know they have no accountability. This is key. If you give people a badge and a gun, and you send out the signal to them that they can do whatever they want, and there is not going to be any judicial process to hold them accountable, they're not going to get fired. If anything, they'll be applauded. The more brutal they are, that's it. All you have to do at that point is let it go. You've already pulled back the bowstring. Just launch it. You've created all the conditions for things like this to happen.
Of course. I like this guy here. Keaton being a normie, Obama and Biden did deportations, but the media and insane blue and on libs covered it up. Yeah, that's what I said. I
Sure
said
they
they did
did.
deportations. But they didn't have these window smashing incidents. You just saw it right there. 6 over the past decade, whatever, 8, 1 a year, as opposed to 50 in 6
we
months.
would be the first ones to point out that Obama built those cages.
Well, that's the point. I'm not defending the Obama record on immigration. I'm saying they deported more people than Trump did without doing this. So that ought to trigger a question in your mind. Okay, so what is this for? Is this for speeding up deportations? Well, obviously not. This obviously makes it harder. It obviously makes it harder, right? I mean, part of the reason why Obama did as many deportations as he did is because, yes, as you say, the libs and the normie left people kind of turned a blind eye to it, right? Because there wasn't this spectacle. So that's the point. The point is not to defend their record. The point is to ask, okay, why all the spectacle?
Right.
And the only answer that makes any sense to me is it's spectacle for spectacle's sake. It is a show of force that is meant to, yes, intimidate. It's meant to intimidate the normies, but it's also meant to provoke the blue hairs. Like, I think they want this conflict because that's what justifies sending the National Guard in. And it works. This does work on some people to a certain extent, which we're going to get into on Thursday, because I have another full segment prepped on this and it's kind of long. But yeah, looking at all of this week and putting all these together, you see a pattern. You see a pattern of them walking out in military formation as the crowds are backing up. They push, they start something. It's a really, really dangerous time. It really is. Things are very, very fraught. And I think they are fraught by design. And the only people who are going to pull us back from the brink are the masses.
Well, and the furries.
And the furries. Yeah, exactly. Because I think, like, both sides of this kind of want this. I think that the government and the oligarchs who own the government want this. And yeah, man, like the blue hairs are very baitable. Like they are. Like, like the Antifa types, yeah, they're very baitable because they like this shit too. This is a hobby for a lot of these people. Like, there are people for whom this kind of activism is a hobby. Like that's the kernel of truth there. I don't know to what extent it's organized or funded. I mean, we do see bricks showing up at these LA protests. They come from somewhere. I don't know if they come from the left or if they come from the CIA. That's an open question. I
think from the CIA.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't know that.
The left aren't organized enough to drop pallets of bricks like that.
Yeah, the left can't get a Dunkin' Donuts box of Joe to a protest, much less a thing of bricks. But wherever, I mean, that it's above my pay grade to know that. But there's clearly conflict brewing on purpose, and it's a very, very dangerous time for sure. Andy Gardner, Southern Bell Shock was my only defense against high school bullies.
Southern Bell Shock. I like that. That's what we're going to use from now on.
Southern Bell Shock. Yeah.
Pam Bondi.
Yeah.
Hey, so we're going to work this out in real time. So we didn't do it at the beginning. I would like to mark 10-7 with that Max video, so maybe we can play that as an outro.
What Max
before
video?
we do the outro? I just put it in.
Oh, all right.
It's
Well,
Max breaking down that this didn't start on October 7th.
Yeah, we'll play it now.
We'll just
Play it
like
now.
play it now.
Yeah.
This war is horrible, so why did the Palestinians initiate this war with their vicious attack on Israelis on October 7th?
Well, they didn't. They didn't. This war has been going on for 75 years. Israel initiated it in 1948 by ethnically cleansing 750,000 people. We must expel Arabs. We must expel Arabs
Was that you, man?
and take their places.
The U.S.
We must expel Arabs and take their places. And if we have to use force, not to dispossess the Arabs of the Negev and Transjordan, but to guarantee our own right to settle in those places, then we have force at our disposal. David Ben-Gurion, the first prime minister of Israel, said that in 1937. And that's what they proceeded to do. The people in Gaza, this is what you need to understand. The people in Gaza, over 80% of them are refugees. Many of them are from a place called Majdal Asqalon in what is now southern Israel, in a city called Ashkelon. And they were dragged from their homes and driven from their homes, placed in prison camps, barbed wire prison camps, and then dumped in trucks in 1950 into the Gaza Strip, where they would be permanently warehoused. And then Israel proceeded to move Arab, Jewish refugees and Russians into Ashkelon to prevent them from ever coming back, and pass laws to prevent Arabs, Palestinians from being able to return to their homes. 750,000 were ethnically cleansed. For 18 years, the remaining Palestinians, 100,000, were internally displaced inside Israel. The remaining were put under military rule. They were under military occupation until 1966. Then in 1967, Israel violently, in a war it initiated, occupies Gaza, occupies the West Bank, occupies the Sinai Peninsula, the Golan Heights in East Jerusalem, and then invades Lebanon in 1982, attacking Palestinian refugees there, puts Gaza under siege in 2005. No one can get in or out without Israeli military permission. We must kill and kill all day, every day. That's according to Arnon Sofer, an Israeli government consultant who helped devise the siege of Gaza. For years, Israel would not allow certain chocolates and A2 paper into Gaza. And then they began these brutal military assaults, which they call mowing the lawn. Slaughtering a few people, will leave Hamas intact, but teach them a lesson. And I talked to you about those assaults that took place on Gaza. So this didn't come out of a vacuum. You're not going to be able to hold people under siege, to cut them off from the world, and then expect them to just play along. That doesn't mean that I celebrate what happened on October 7th. It should have never had to happen. The reason it happened is because of the Israel lobby here, the genocide Democrats and the genocide Republicans who deny the Palestinians any right to have rights. And it's the right to have rights that defines you as a citizen. They're citizens of nothing. And now we see what Israel really thinks of them, really thinks of their children. Gaza has become a graveyard for children, according to UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres. So this didn't start on October 7th, and it's not going to end when there's a ceasefire.
And there you go, man. I thought that was important to listen to on October 7th, when the Zionists are pushing their messaging, their Hasbara, their propaganda as hard as possible. The day after premier Zionist propagandist Bari Weiss is named editor-in-chief of CBS News, there's a real journalist breaking it down in 3 minutes. That's the history, and that's why that actually happened on October 7th. Didn't start on October 7th. That was the latest in a very tragic chain of events.
Yeah, and I would argue that it was with Israel's foreknowledge as well. There's that whole element.
There's
as
that
well.
too. Yep.
Yes, indeed. And that was I believe that was at UMass Amherst, because that was my would-be alma mater had I finished. But there were like pretty brutal clashes between security and the students, either the night before that event or the night after, because there were a lot of protests there and he went.
Well, you
to
heard somebody
speak
yell,
there.
"Get out of here!" when he started.
Yeah. Who knows? I mean, that's a big school, so there's a lot of kids going there. So, I mean, it's a liberal oriented school because it's a Massachusetts public school. But
Right.
for a lot of kids who grow up in Massachusetts, like UMass is like the extension of high school. Like
Right.
it's just known that after high school you go to UMass and you go
It's
to that
like
campus.
it's like CUNY in New York.
Yeah, exactly. I heard that Frog had a sex tape with the wacky inflatable arms flailing too bad. And yeah, right, exactly. Alibu Kid says, any truth to claims older Gaza, TikTok, YouTube, etc. videos are disappearing from X?
According to Blakely, her own videos have been taken down without them telling her why or
without
what
a
the videos
notification
even were.
Like
Yep.
they're just not
Yep.
showing up anymore. Interesting. I just saw Abby Martin's new film, Earth's Greatest Enemy. Damn, chilling and kind of horrifying. Y'all got to try to have her on. Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah,
For
we'd
that,
love
as
to
well
have
as
her
her
on.
Gaza insights. Stay cool, y'all. Yeah, we'd love to have Abby Martin on. That would be cool. Increased blood pressure. What about Proton VPN? I never heard of that one. I get the two of them confused because they both seem the same level of regarded. Who's that? Viantikis. Nocturnal says, Russell, if it's that much of a hassle, I think you should just take a break from the show. I'm just one of your monthly supporters, but I think others would feel the same. Record and enjoy. Well, I told him when he's in China, he is going to take a break.
Oh, right.
Yeah, in China, he's
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
take a break.
I'm not doing it from China. No.
Yeah, no, I told him that. Yeah, that's good advice. ICE raids look a lot like IDF doing raids in the West Bank. Same bosses. Wake the fuck up, people. Russ, I always love your T-shirts. T-Bone. There you go. Thanks,
Do you know what there's the North Park Theater in Buffalo?
Wow. Yeah, it is a nice shirt. As others have said, Proton VPN is the way. All right, Proton has good reviews.
Yeah.
Baby's got to know his limitations. Do you feel lucky, infant? Yeah, do you feel lucky? Feeling lucky, infant?
A baby's got to know his limitations.
Yeah.
You feel lucky,
Yeah.
infant?
Yeah, it's good. I do believe you're right about Trump trying to incite confrontation, but if they're going to call the National Guard to all these cities, anywho, what can you do? Wait out the administration. Well, yeah, I mean, look, like we'll get into the National Guard stuff on the next show because that's what my final piece is mostly about. Look, there's going to be at some point a real constitutional crisis if the court says don't send them and Trump sends them anyway. I mean, this has already happened. And so you got to see how that shakes out. I mean, there is no look, all of this normally runs on some type of gentleman's agreement, right? But once that gentleman's agreement is broken, then it's just a matter of power. And then you have to ask yourself, okay, what autonomy is the military itself willing to exercise, right? And that's when you get into really dicey territory.
So because this came up, there were a lot of questions about it. All right, so I am doing Southeast Asia from January into April. The reason it's taking that long is because I'm doing the show. So half the week I'm doing the show just like normal, and half the week I'll be exploring the culture and stuff. I'm doing this because I feel like if you can, I got a partner who won't go 3 blocks. If one of us can go see these places in the world, I think it's good for the show. And King can be like, I wouldn't eat that.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, food is going to be,
What is that you're eating?
Food could be tough. That could be a rough situation over there.
Not as much as India, man. Like their breakfast, they'll have like a noodle soup. I could do that.
Yeah.
Man, it's not like the spicy stuff from India. But then April, so for that, I'll be doing the show. Here and there, I'll have to take off because of transportation, logistics, and stuff. But for the most part, it'll be a normal schedule. Then I'm going to be in China. That's where I'm not doing the show, and that'll be about a month.
Right. All right, everybody. Well, that is our show. We appreciate you being with us very much today. We are off tomorrow and back on Thursday at 12 p.m. Eastern. We will keep you update on that. Please do go and subscribe to our newsletter over on Substack, newdissident.substack.com, so you get alerts whenever we go live and where. Thanks everybody very much. Thank you to the YouTubers, to the Rumblers. Thanks to the mods in the chat for keeping the peace. Oh, wait a minute. We got one more piece of business to take care of today before we leave. We got thrown up our technical mishaps, but we are well over this.
year 25.
And of course, well over 600. All right. And that does it.
And let me just make one more thing clear, and I'm sure this will come up again. That's entirely at my own expense. Why can I afford to do that? Because I don't have no fucking kids like Keaton does.
That's right.
That's it. That's right. I got myself. I have lived in the same apartment building for almost 20 years. I pay $100 more than I was paying for rent in the fucking 90s, and I have no responsibilities at all. I don't even have a fucking plant. So there you go.
Doesn't even have a plant, this guy.
So that is the no due dissidence money is going on that trip. That is entirely my expense.
There you go. All right, everybody. Well, that's all for today. Choose your VPN carefully, Russ. Proton is Israel owned. Not according
that
to
one
what we're
too.
hearing.
See, I'm hearing 10 different things.
All right. Well, we'll look into it. You still got a little time. All righty, everybody. That's our show. Thanks for being here. We'll see you Thursday, 12 p.m. Eastern. Until then, be safe and be well.
Courage.
Please clap.